Okay.
We've been there.
Swimmers, coaches, team officials, 5 minutes remain before the pool closes. Please prepare to exit shortly.
Please get up 5 minutes.
Yeah, take it from there. It's okay, put it down for that. You can put it down for that. Rest, rest, rest. You can have a rest. Yeah, just have a rest, have a rest. Ah, gee.
Swimmers, coaches, team officials, 1 minute left in the warm-up pool. Please make your final laps.
0. Lane 1. Lane 2. Lane 3.
The warm-up pool is now closed. The warm-up pool is now closed. All students
the first championship to be held in Asia. From the 21st to the 27th of September 2025, around 600 of the world's top para swimmers from over 70 countries will gather to compete at Singapore's OCBC Aquatic Centre. To safeguard the integrity of their competition, World Para Swimming uses a classification system that groups athletes by the effect they impair as in swimming. Each sport class has two parts, a prefix and a number. The prefix tells us which stroke the class applies to. S for freestyle, backstroke and butterfly, SV for breaststroke, and SN for the individual medley. The number indicates the level of active implementation. Lower numbers correspond to more significant impact on swimming. There are 10 different sport classes for athletes with physical impairment, numbered 1 to 10. Athletes with different impairments compete against each other, because sport classes are allocated based on the impact the impairment has on swimming rather than on the impairment itself. To evaluate the impact of impairments on swimming, classifiers assess the functional body structures using a point system and ask the athlete to complete a water assessment. The total number of points then determines the athlete's S and SD sport classes. Due to the different demands of S and SD events, swimmers are often allocated different S and SD sport classes. The SM sport class is calculated from the S and SD sport class. Para swimmers with vision impairment compete in 3 sport classes. S11 athletes have very low or no vision, wear black and goggles, and have tap-out assisted turns and the bench. S12 athletes have more vision than S11, with a visual field of less than 5 degrees, while S13 athletes have a least severe vision impairment eligible, with a visual field under 20 degrees. Swimmers in the S12 and S13 classes may choose whether to use a tap-out. There is one sport class for athletes with intellectual impairment. S14 swimmers may have difficulty with pattern recognition, sequencing, memory, or reaction time, which can influence their stroke rhythm and race starts. Whether you watch a S7 classification or ST11 classification race, you'll know that all swimmers in that race have similar functional ability in the water. This ensures that the championships celebrate athletic performance above all else, enjoy the races, and cheer on every athlete at the Toyota World Para Swimming Championships, Singapore 2025.
Good morning, Singapore, and thank you on the Toyota World Power Swimming Championship, Singapore.
Good morning and welcome everyone to Singapore. We are here for the Toyota World Para Swimming Championship Singapore 2025, and here you can see some of the sights, some of the famous sights of this wonderful city of Singapore. My name is Paul Noble. I'll be taking you through the action all week, all 7 days of this championships, and alongside me on each of these 7 days will be Liz Johnson. Morning, Liz.
Good morning, Paul. Look at that pool. It's starting to fill up. The warm-up finished about 10 minutes ago.
And some of those sights of Singapore, we saw them yesterday. We had a rare event, didn't we? We had a morning off.
We did.
We managed to get into the city and saw some of these wonderful sights of Singapore. Fantastic place, isn't it? But very hot.
Yeah, it's very warm. It's warm here at the pool. It's exciting, though, and I think there's a lot. Some of the athletes have already been enjoying some of the sights too. They've been in town for a while, a lot of the teams, and so there is a lot to see in Singapore, but everybody's eyes are going to be on this venue for the next week.
Absolutely. We have got 22 sets of heats for us to enjoy this morning, and all these swimmers will be trying to make their way into the finals. First final session will be tonight at I think 17:30 local time here in Singapore. There's a Portuguese team, Marco Menezes in the middle. He'll be looking to add another medal to his growing collection. Now he's one of the up-and-coming stars, swimmer with a visual impairment. And of course, the classification system, we've got swimmers with physical impairments, swimmers with visual impairments, and swimmers with intellectual impairments taking part in these championships. So for those of you that are not familiar with para swimming, S1 to 10, those are physical impairments, 11 to 13, those with visual, and S14 for those with an intellectual impairment. So we'll see all of these classes as we go through these championships. So some good morning in prospect, Liz. What are you looking forward to?
I think I'm just looking forward to seeing where everyone's at. Like, it's always an interesting first major championships after a Paralympic Games year, because a lot of people take a year out, or they know more time out than they would normally. The Spanish team there that we can see in our shot, they've got some big faces that they've been reliant on for many years that are now not here, and then they've got some newbies. So really there is lots of opportunity for those athletes that maybe didn't make Paris or didn't swim as well as they wanted to in Paris to really come back here and show what they've got. And then others, more experienced, maybe just looking to bed themselves into this 4-year cycle.
There's a schedule for this morning. Just in a few minutes' time, we'll see I was going to say the 2 heats, but it is actually just 1 heat of the men's 400 freestyle. We've got 9 swimmers actually in that heat, so we're only going to be dropping 1 from that very one and only heat, but we'll come back to that when we come to that in a couple of minutes' time. So as we go through towards the later end of the morning, as you can see, a range of different classifications there and a range of different events as well, as we finish with the fast sprints at the end, the S10 men and women's 50 metres freestyle. So that's always an exciting event for us to finish with, Liz.
Yeah, and as always in these para swimming programs, we have a full range of events. We've got 400s as we saw to start the session, then those 50s to finish off as we just wait for the first set of swimmers. You mentioned, Paul, only 1 heat. This is a 10-lane pool, and we will be using all 10 lanes in the heats. There's a shot of the call room, as we call it, the ready room, some other athletes call it. They're just the S8 women waiting to come out for their 400 metres freestyle, but they'll watch the men who are lined up and ready to go first.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some shots of that call room, won't we? It's always interesting to see the different preparations of the swimmers as they come out. It's quite a spectacular scene here on poolside, isn't it? It's great dressing for the championships on the side of the pool. Looks very spectacular indeed. And the athletes will come out of that gate in the middle, ready for this first heat, the first action of this Toyota World Para Swimming Championship Singapore 2025. Swimmers in the heats will just make their way to their lanes. You'll see the swimmers being announced individually when we get to the finals tonight, but for the heats they will just make their way out to their allocated lane. There's the 2 Spanish swimmers as we saw on the other side of the pool, as we move to closest side to us. As you look at the pictures, lane 0 will be at the top of your screen and lane 9 will be at the bottom. And in the yellow marked lanes in the middle of the pool, there's lanes 4 and 5, but that's going to catch us out, isn't it? Lane 0 at the top, it always does. There's the lineup for this first heat of this men's 400 freestyle S8. 2 Spanish swimmers in this one, side by side. Marco Jose de Velasco in lane number 0. Inigo Lopez Sanz, his more experienced compatriot, goes in lane number 1. Callum Simpson from Australia goes into Andrei Nikolaev from the neutral para-athlete team in 3. Reigning champion Alberto Amadeo from Italy goes in 4. Reid Maxwell from Canada in 5. And Noah Jaffe from the USA in 6. Another one of the neutral athletes, Evgeny Stepanov, in 7. And we have someone in lane number 9.
Take your marks.
And that was due to be leading in lane number 9.
It's lane 8 already has caught us out. It is lane
8.
He is there. He's down at the bottom in the...
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
He's doing well, isn't he?
He is. He's got off to a good start there. We can see, as we said, this 10-lane heats might catch us out a few times. And he's gone off well. So with one arm, they tend to get off the starts better. Going well at the top there in that yellow hat of Australia is Callum Simpson. He turns first, 30.45 ahead of Li Ting, 30.53. With Reid Maxwell of Canada in lane 5, getting the touch third, 31.15. But it's all very close in the middle of the pool. Simpson still with that slight lead. Excellent 100-metre swimmer is Callum Simpson.
Yeah, it's interesting, Liz, isn't it, that we might not be looking too much into this. We've only got to drop 1 swimmer. But interesting how some of the swimmers will approach this one. The big names in the middle. Amadeo will probably be the favourite, Paralympic champion last year. Nikolaev was the world champion back in 2019, the Paralympic champion from Tokyo as well, next to him. And the 2 youngsters, Callum Simpson and Reid Maxwell, they'll fancy the chances in this one, won't they?
They will, and actually, as you said, Paul, with only having 1 heat but the 9 swimmers, they can swim it more tactically than they would if there was 2 heats and the swimmers were split 4 and 5, because you can, especially on freestyle at the turns, and you can change your breathing pattern so that you can see both ways, and you can see across the entire pool. So we will see probably a different heat swim than we would have seen had the athletes been split across those 2 heats. But Callum Simpson there going through the 175 metre mark very well. He looks comfortable at the front. Again, different impairments mean you have to swim differently. Simpson doesn't have as much of a luxury of slowing his whole stroke down, so we can see him already settled in to a good rate as he goes over at the halfway point. 2:11.30 for Simpson, head of Reid Maxwell, 2:13.25 the Canadian in 5, and then it's Nikolaev over third, 2:14.72, just ahead of Stepanov.
Yeah, 2 18-year-olds leading the way out of the more experienced athletes in the centre. I say more experienced, but these guys have done really well in the recent years in the championships. Like Reid Maxwell, silver medalist in the Paralympic Games in Paris, and Callum Simpson, also a gold medalist in Paris, but that was in the 100 free, so maybe no surprise to see him go out in a very fast start. They've come down to the 300 mark. Of course, as we said there was going to be a range of classifications. This is the S8 classification, so 1 to 10, those with a physical impairment, with those in S1 with the most impairment, S10 the least impairment. So we're up to some of the high numbers here, Liz, so lesser impairments than some of the swimmers we'll see later on in this heat session.
Yeah, as we see there, going over at the 300 metre mark, Simpson and Maxwell, very different impairments, and you can see it playing out now. Simpson, then he did seem to use that first 200 metre speed to get out in front, and he took that third 100 slightly easier. The Canadian then made up some ground. It's those two out in front. In the middle behind them, though, there's not much to choose between 4 swimmers as they go over at the front of the pool into the final 50 meters. It is Simpson still just holding on to that front position.
Yeah, Simpson looks like he is on course to be in that centre lane. Of course, the fastest swimmer through from the heats will take lane 4 in the final. Second fastest will take lane 5. And it looks like it's going to be Simpson and Maxwell that are going to claim those 2 centre lanes. Amadeo is going to be there or thereabouts. He's coming through strongly for 3rd, but it's going to be a real tussle here to the end. Maxwell picked it up, but he just missed out by a couple of tenths of a second, and that is a decent time. 4:27.17, so well done there to Callum Simpson. He will be delighted with that one. That is an excellent swim there. And that might be an oceanic record to start us off with, Liz, so that will be a fantastic start for the Australian. Reid Maxwell in 2nd, Amadeo will come through into 3rd, Nikolaev in 4th. They'll all be in the final if the result is confirmed. Noah Jaffe and Evgeny Stepanov very close behind. Both of them on the 4:33 mark. So we'll wait for confirmation of the result. But we might have an area record, an oceanic record here for Callum Simpson. And he went out at a pace, Liz. He dominated that one from the front.
Yeah, he definitely signalled intent using that front end speed. We saw there Alberto Amadeo of Italy getting off the block well. Good reaction time, the Italian. Then he tends to wind up the stroke through the 400 metres, and we saw him pull away into a safe 3rd position. But Callum Simpson will be going into the final tonight with that result is confirmed, being very confident with where he is. And lane position is important in this one because the athletes have different tactics, and it's good to be able to see what's going on from the centre of that pool.
Nod of the head for Callum Simpson. His previous oceanic record, he held it, was 4:29.54. We are still waiting for confirmation of the result. It's the Australians. It's a good start for them. They'll be delighted with that first swim here. Again, it's always quite a nervous wait, isn't it, waiting for these results to be confirmed. Maybe not on the freestyle. I know that we have been speaking to our technical officials. They say there's a number of ways you can get disqualified on freestyle. False start probably being the most common of those, but the result hasn't been confirmed, Liz, so just waiting for that one. Wonder if there's a little bit of an issue. Day 1, of course, maybe a little bit of teething problems. Let's hope it's not a DQ first off. That wouldn't be a good way to start, would it?
No, we'll see. Sometimes, like you said, it is just race 1, day 1. Ironing out all the kinks. A lot goes into putting on this swim meet.
It certainly does. Big volunteer base here. And it's a little bit cooler today, we've been told. And Liz is shaking her head.
We're Scottish and we're Welsh, so like anything over this side of the world is hot for us, no?
It's good. It's very hot yesterday, a little bit cooler today. We're getting a little bit of a breeze behind us. We had the sun right at our backs. But it's kind of moving away a little bit now from us, which is quite thankful for us, right up here in the gods, in this commentary position. There's the Portuguese again. We're right at the back of the athlete stand, so we've got a great view. There's the Portuguese team, as we said. It's good to see the Portuguese doing well. They've been big supporters of the major events of World Para Swimming, held the World Champs in Madeira in 2022, and of course a number of European championships being held in Portugal as well.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show when you do host championships, we see it often when you get host games for the Paralympics or the Commonwealth Games, athletes, people see what's on offer, what's available, and it does, and that cash injection or that enthusiastic injection of support, that does lead to a squad building on their results and seeing sizes. And again, after a Paralympic Games, there is often a lot of athletes that retire or take time out, take sabbaticals, and it does really provide the opportunity for the nations to sort of build their squads up, bring new athletes, which you'll see a lot of rookies here in Singapore over the next week, and give them an opportunity to experience the world, the global stage, because it is very different. Like, it doesn't matter how much you simulate the atmosphere in a home championships. When you come to a major championships, there are other things to consider, and the more experience you can get under your belt, the better for these athletes.
I think we're okay with that result there, and that oceanic record for Callum Simpson was confirmed. So great start for the Australian, and he will go into the final in first position. So well done to Callum Simpson. Great way to start these championships. Reid Maxwell too was very close behind, only a couple of tenths behind was the Canadian. And well, you talked about these youngsters coming through, but two 18-year-olds there leading the way in the first heat, Liz.
Yeah, well, if you're fast enough, you're old enough, right? So we'll see some youngsters as the week goes by.
And they're ones, of course, that have been in the major championships before. They've got a good track record in this 400 freestyle. Now we're moving on to the women's. Hopefully these technical problems have been ironed out. That 400 freestyle for women in the S8 classification again. Of course, we'll be going through the events and male and female events for a particular stroke and classification. Will always be side by side. And there are the swimmers coming out for this very first heat. Big representation from Great Britain there in the two centre lanes, and they've got two of the favourites for this 400. Alice Ty and Brock Whiston will be looking to claim a position in the fastest 8 times. Abby Tripp from Canada will be up there at the top in lane number 2. Sodera Barezzo from Spain, another experienced campaigner, the Spanish swimmer. She goes in 3. 2 from Great Britain in 4 and 5, Alice Ty and Brock Whiston side by side. Maria Pavlova from the neutral para athlete team will go in lane 6, and Ana Castro from Portugal in lane number 7. So 6 swimmers in this first heat, 7 swimmers in the second heat. So might be a little bit of a different dynamic to this one, Liz.
This is the exact contrast that we were talking about from having those 10-lane heats. These athletes won't have the luxury of hanging around too much in this first heat. They'll want to get at least a good position on the scoreboard to finish, to know that they are safe. As we see in those centre lanes, 2 British athletes. It's Whiston closest to us, with Ty above her, just 1 lane up in those yellow marked lanes that signal the fastest qualifiers, and it's Whiston over first, 35.30 and a 35.49 for Ty, with Sodera Barezzo of Spain 36.71. Those 3 are out in front. Abby Tripp of Canada right at the top of the pool for this one. And at the moment it's Whiston that has settled into the first 100 metres. Very different strokes from Whiston and Ty as they come into the first 100 metres. Whiston will go over first. 113.18 ahead of Ty's 114.27 with Sodera Barezzo 115.67. Tripp still in that 4th position for Canada. They're going well in their own battle. Down the bottom in lane 6 and 7 is Pavlova and Castro. They are pretty much swimming stroke for stroke.
Yeah, and could be vital when it comes out. These swimmers at the back of the field, position all important, time all important, of course, because the times from the 2 heats will be added together, and the fastest 8 times. It's not like some sports like athletics when top 2 or 3 are guaranteed a place in the final. It's all about time, but yeah, can be very important, the position. Some of these close finishes can mean missing out on the final or making it. Brock Whiston looking in good shape. She had a great Paralympic Games. She was 5th place in this event, the 400 freestyle, but managed to take home gold medal in the 200 metres individual medley. And well, Alice Ty has got a great record in the World Championships, especially back in 2019 in London. 7 gold medals for Alice Tai at those World Championships back in 2019. So she loves the World Championships, Alice Tai. She's just behind Zadara Barretso. That's the second and third contest, but Brock Whiston leads them through. Close contest for second there. Fourth place is still Abby Tripp up there in lane number 2. But here's a contest at the front. And Brock Whiston, Alice Tai and Nia Zadara Barretso, they look like they are on their way to securing a place in that top 8.
Yeah, Whiston there going over again. As we said, we saw it in the men's event too. Callum Simpson got out well. Whiston tends to have a similar stroke for the entire 8 lengths of the race. Alice Tai builds with the arm stroke, doesn't have much of a leg kick at all. So the swimmers who have those stronger arms and that more of a significant leg impairment do tend to build through the swim lengths of the race in the second half, looking strong. Zadara Barretso going very well. The Spaniard 1 lane up from Tai. There's the 2 Brits in the middle of the pool, but the Spaniard right there. She'll be looking to add to her World Championship silver from Manchester. A lot of talent in this one, a lot of talent in the next heat too. So it will be an interesting final, but as we always say, the job in the morning is to get yourself a lane in that final, and that is what these swimmers will be focused on here this morning. Everybody sort of finding their way on day 1 of a competition, whatever your role at the meet, just going through that call room process for the first time.
Coming down now to the 3:50 mark, so just 1 lane to go here. Brock Whiston has led pretty much from the start here. Alice Tai next to her, down in third now. Nia Zadara Barretso in second place. I wonder if Alice Tai will want to try and just pip the Spanish swimmer. So a little bit of a head-to-head for second. Looks like Brock Whiston though might have this one sewn up. Alice Tai and Zadara Barretso beginning to have a little bit of a tussle here, head-to-head in second, but Brock Whiston is going to take this one. She comes into the red zone, into the last 5 metres. Real tussle for second, but here comes Brock Whiston into the wall safely. And she'll be in 5:08.83. Is it Alice Tai in second? Maybe. Oh, I don't know. It's very close indeed. It's a dead heat, I think, between those two, so that'll be interesting. Should be safely into the final. Brock Whiston 5:08.83. Dead heat for second between Zadara Barretso and Tai, 5:09.84. Abby Tripp in 5:24.49. Pavlova 5:38.91. And Anna Castro 5:42.20. Big smile on the face of Brock Whiston. She'll be pleased with that one. 5:08.83. And well, there's 7 swimmers in the second heat, so Brock
1:17.30, just ahead of Duskova. Yeah, Jessica Long, it's a very different approach for her going into a home Paralympic Games in LA in 2028. She's in a very different place in her career. We've seen her come to these World Championships previously and literally fill her slate with every event available. She's not doing that at these championships. A smaller program, building her way into the 4-year cycle, and it is all about your sustainability as an athlete over the 4 years so that you can be as best prepared as possible. But one thing that is never in doubt with Jessica Long is every race she goes into, she gives absolutely everything she's got, and she'll be looking for a solid heat swim here this morning to give herself a chance in the final tonight.
Yeah, fantastic record that Jessica Long's got, and it is interesting to see her kind of program develop over the years. I mean, as you said, Liz, fantastic event that she had in her first World Championships back in 2006, and she's had she's been a multi-eventer all that time. 400 though, you would say, was probably her signature event. It's the one she kind of broke through in as a 12-year-old, and now as a 33-year-old, she starts as favourite again for another world title.
Yeah, and look, you can tell just by looking, that's a great shot. She's got textbook strokes. And so often you wouldn't even know what her impairment was to look at her, because she's worked so hard over the years on that upper body strength, that high elbow, long stroke. You see there, doesn't have the lower halves of either leg. So it is all dominated by that excellent front end pull. She's a strong butterfly swimmer, and obviously freestyle and butterfly do suit each other. She really enjoys that 200 meters individual medley though. So even though she has got a varied program, all of her events really do complement each other, and it means that you can have that longevity as an athlete. If you've got different events, you can train different events, you can play with your program at major championships, and you can keep the love alive, for want of a better phrase, and that has been something that Jessica Long and her team have been very good at doing over the years.
And again, with that carrot of home Paralympic Games as well, that's got to be a real incentive for Jessica Long. Just so we see her go over at the 300 mark. Jessica Long just ahead of Zheng, Ting Ting in second, and third position, very close tussle, Palazzo and Duskova. All of these top 4 swimmers looking in good shape. Might be a little bit of a tussle down here in 6 and 7. Rubalcaba Nunes just ahead of Novina, and that might be an important tussle there. But Jessica Long is not going to be concerned with that. She comes into the final turn. Another, as you said, like textbook performance from Jessica Long.
Yeah, Jessica Long here doing what she needs to do. This morning, again, we said you have the benefit in Heat 2 of seeing what the swimmers have done in Heat 1. But again, if you can win your heat, then you know you've taken away sort of the doubt and the risk of potentially not making it. Zheng still going very well. One up from Long there in lane number 3, and Palazzo has built through this 400 meters as well, the Italian, to move into a strong third position. She was the world champion back in Manchester, but she's a bit behind our Heat 2 leaders as we come into the final 5.
Jessica Long is going to take this one. We'll just have a check of the time. 5:10.43, not quite as fast as the first heat, but should be good enough for the top 8. That'll lie her in 4th position, I think. Good swim from Zheng, 4th place in the Paralympic Games last year, and she should be in as well. Duskova and Palazzo will also be there. Palazzo just getting 3rd in 5:20.24, and Duskova 5:22.78. I think that might be good enough for the top 4 to make it in to that final. So it looks like we might be 4 and 4, Liz. 4 from the first heat and 4 from the second, as we just watch Jessica Long with that dive. I mean, she's got, again, as you said, doesn't get the propulsion from the dive. She doesn't have the lower half of her legs, but once they get into the swim, that's where she comes into her own.
Yeah, and she uses a very strong pull off the block, so she has perfected a technique that works for her, because she is aware that in this classification group, that is where maybe the main disadvantage comes from. As we see, great off the turn, straight up and into her stroke. No underwater kick, obviously, for long, so she works really hard there, and she's perfected being as efficient as possible off that wall to get up and into her stroke, to play to her strengths, which she does very well indeed.
These are great camera shots we're getting there, aren't we? Hopefully we'll get more of these this week. That's fantastic stuff. Brock Whiston leads the way into the final. It's 3 from the first heat will make their way into that final tonight. Jessica Long will be there, poised in 4th place, and Paralympic 4th place swimmer Jane Ting Ting will also be in attendance. So 5 swimmers very, very close list from that qualification. That's going to be a cracking race tonight. Men's breaststroke, we're into the SB9 classification now. And there is the first of the 2 heats. Hector Denayer from France goes in at the middle lane. The Paralympic Games silver medalist from last year at his home Paralympic Games in Paris. SB9, of course, swimmers with a minimal impairment. So we'll see some of these swimmers. A lot of these swimmers actually have arm impairments. Very slight arm impairments for this classification in the SB9 class. I've got some big names in this one as well. Denayer, as I said, was a medalist at the last World Championships, a bronze. He stepped up to take the silver at his home Paralympic Games in Paris, and well, just thinking back to that Paris Games, what an atmosphere, especially for the home swimmers.
Yeah, it'll be slightly different for him here, but a great event, great opportunity, and he's a swimmer who's just getting more confident every time he stands behind that block at major championships.
Yeah, he's 20 years of age, 28. Either side of him is Isaev in lane number 5, one of the neutral para-athletes. He's a Paralympic silver medalist back in Tokyo in 2021. And Ian Florencio Fernandez from Spain, another 20-year-old. He goes in lane number 3. A little bit of a delay at the start. Here we go. First time we've seen one of the home swimmers. Jareth Wong from Singapore goes up there in lane number 1. He'll have his work cut out to try and make this final, but let's hope the home support can get behind Jareth Wong in lane number 1. Fernando Liu from Canada goes in 2. Florencio Fernandez from Spain in 3. Hector Denayer from France in 4. Artem Isaev in 5 from neutral para-athletes. Czech swimmer Tadeusz Trasek in 6. And James LaRue, who's also been a medalist at the World Championships for Canada, he goes in lane number 7. Again, 7 in this first heat, 7 in the second.
Yeah, and as we go into the turn, it is that high stroke of Denayer of France that leads the way. 31.48 to Florencio Fernandez, 31.96, with Trasek over in third, 32.87. They're out in front, and look, as we see, we come into the final 25 meters. It is Denayer leading. He's got company from Florencio Fernandez.
Yeah, the newcomer from Spain is taking it to the Paralympic Games silver medalist, and it might be the Spanish swimmer into the wall first, is it? Oh, they stretched for the wall, and it was Denayer just getting it by 0.2 of a second. There wasn't much in that. All on the finish there to get that one, but 107.92 for Hector Denayer, 108.18 for Florencio Fernandez. Isaev in 3rd, and Fernando Liu getting in for 4th position in 1:11. And here comes Jareth Wong now to finish, the first Singapore athlete. And 1:42 was Jareth Wong's entry time. Let's see what he can get for that one. 1:40.78, so a nice start for the home swimmer. Good improvement for Jareth Wong, the home swimmer here from Singapore. Singapore got a small but successful team in para swimming, haven't they?
Small but mighty, as we see that from a lot of the nations in para swimming, and we've said it before, The Italians started off with such a small team back in 2012, and now they're a very dominant force. And again, that, like having a few good swimmers, obviously Yip Pingzhu, Teresa Go no longer swimming, but very successful over the years. And it just, then that bit of excitement, we saw it from France, and the French team is building because of Paris, and maybe the Singaporeans too.
Hector Denaye confirmed as winner of that first heat. Ian Florencio Fernandez in second. Good debut from the Spanish swimmer. And Artem Isaev in third position. So 1 on the 107, 2 on the 108. There's the lineup for the second heat. Hasbi from Egypt. Zagaminajad from Iran. Lane number 2, Tang Shuyan from China. In lane number 3, Stefano Raimondi from Italy in 4. Maurice Vettigam in 5 from Germany.
Take your marks.
Dmitry Grigorev, the experienced swimmer from the neutral para-athlete team, and Aidan Stivers from the USA completes the lineup. In lane number 7, Stefano Raimondi in the centre lane has dominated this event at the major events in recent times. He's the world, European and Paralympic champion. World champion at the last 3 editions of these World Championships, so it's going to be difficult to see past Stefano Raimondi for this one, Liz.
It is. He's a great all-round swimmer, but going well at the top down the first 50. It is Hasbi and Zagaminjad. They returned first and second, 31.68 ahead of 32 flat. Just 6/100ths ahead of Maurice Vettigam, with Raimondi down in 6th at the turn, but we've seen that before, and already the Italian starting to move back through the field as we go into the last 20 metres, but going very well is Vettigam, and that tussle at the top still stroke for stroke.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting one. Raimondi doesn't want to leave anything to chance. He's a master of it, isn't he? Just scraping into the finals, conserving his energy, and into the wall first. It was Vettigam. It was Seminajad in second. And in third place, I think it was Hasbi. What a good swim. And the top lanes, Raimondi in fourth position, just getting ahead of Tang. But my goodness, that was a close one there, wasn't it? Raimondi coming through, and he couldn't have expected the swimmers in the top lanes to be there out ahead, could he?
No, and on breaststroke, it is very different. Where you see Vettigam worked strongly for that. You do often on breaststroke, you don't always have the luxury of going quite as easy as sometimes you can on some of the other strokes. He looks pleased to have gotten that touch. Great starts all round, so we can see off the block there. Raimondi, he does have a huge program, and he does tend to swim his heats smartly, but as we saw, we talked about it in the earlier races, sometimes it really does come down to position at the wall, and that would have been tighter for all of those fourth swimmers than they would have expected. So they'll all watch that scoreboard, because once you get out, you can't quite do the math in your head.
There's Raimondi. Where was he at the halfway point? Well, 5th place, there's Vettigam. I was at the final opportunity for the German swimmers to qualify, and Vettigam just scraped in by a matter of a couple of hundredths of a second. And there are the qualifiers. Well, Raimondi down in 7th place, but he will be there. He'll be in one of the outside lanes, and if you've got a lane, Liz,
You got a chance.
hey. Denaye lead the way. Vettigam will be there as well. Again, that is another fantastic final in prospect tonight. 2 youngsters, Vettigam and Denaye, but kind of come through the ranks together in the last couple of years, the German and the French swimmers, so they have a good rivalry brewing, and they're always trying to catch Raimondi. They'll think they've got a chance tonight.
Yeah, he will.
Here's the lineup for the next breaststroke event, and we move down the classification numbers. We're into the SB2 classification. 50 metres breaststroke this time, so 1 length of the pool. And again, as we said, the classification S1 to S10 for those with physical impairments, with S1 being the most impaired. So we're down at the SB2 classifications now. We do actually have an SB1 swimmer swimming in the second heat, so we'll keep an eye on the records for the SB1 as well. But again, same format as before. Fastest 8 swimmers will qualify for that final tonight. Lineup is Lichniak from Poland, Kostakis from Greece. We see there the experienced Greek swimmer, Yanis Kostakis, in his 10th World Championship, the Greek. Félix Castorena from Mexico will go in lane number 4. Grant Patterson in 5, and Charkon Kaisri in lane number 6. So 10 World Championships for Kostakis in lane 3. Just the 11 World Championships for Castorena in lane 4. That's not a bad record, it's all across the years.
Take your marks.
Yeah, we can see again a range of starts. So lower down the classification system, that we go. The range of techniques that you will see that sort of deviate from what you would see in textbook breaststroke. Here you can see Castorena, he really does use that one strong arm very, very well indeed. He builds his way through a season, does Castorena. Gets stronger with every swim, saves himself for the major championships. And he's got an excellent record, both at Paralympic Games and World Championships. Leads away from Grant Scooter Patterson of Australia, sporting that very strong moustache in that yellow hat, gold hat, one lane closer to us. But it is Castorena leading the way.
Yeah, Castorena, he's a fantastic record, as you said. He's won his 11th World Championships, as I said. He's won medals in this one, all but his first World Champs back in 1998. So he is the man to beat, 57.51, and that is an excellent time. Well, season's best there for Castorena, and faster than he went to win the last World Championships and to win the Paralympic Games in 2024. Great start for the Mexican.
I think, yeah, he's always a bit unpredictable. If you watched his results through the season, you'd be an athlete who stood on the block thinking you've got a chance, but he always brings his A game to these major championships. This is Heat 1, so he wasn't the fastest entrant this year, but look, he looks pleased with that one. Looks pretty relaxed too. So that's a sign of danger for the final.
Patterson did a good job as well. There you see Castorena getting in from the dive there. Kaisri closest to us, also the Thai swimmer. Some experienced campaigners here in this one. And there is Patterson and Castorena. Nodded ahead for Castorena. He's going to make it into that final. If he can reproduce that time, he's going to be tough to beat, Liz.
Yeah, that was very solid this morning.
57.51 for Jose Castorena, and Grant Patterson 104.84. That surely will be good enough for a place in the final. It will be, actually, because there's 6 in the second heat, so the top 2 have qualified already. As we go on to the second heat, here is the lineup for this one. Nakanaran from Thailand, Marigliano from Italy, Bobarev, one of the neutral para athletes, Ismail Barlov from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Zarate Rodriguez, another Mexican in this one, going in 6th, and the only swimmer in the SB1 class is Bruno Becker de Silva, swimming up against the SB2. So only one set of medals up for grabs here. Not enough SB1 swimmers to have their own event, so they have to swim up against the SB2. So there's not going to be a separate medal for the SB1s. Have to go in against the SB2s, and he's there in lane number 7. Brazilian Bruno Becker da Silva. But Bobarev, the neutral para athlete, just keep an eye on the time that he does. He's got an entry time of 56.72. That's the time that he leads the world rankings in. And he set that at the end of May. So he goes in lane number 4 from the water. Barlov from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Paralympic Games silver medalist goes from the dive in lane number 5.
Yeah, we saw there the contrast. Barlov off the dive, going well. He gets the advantage at the start, but then Bobarev being held at the feet to maximise his height because he doesn't get any propulsion off the wall. He's one lane up there, looking to try and get back on level terms with Barlov's fast start. Still a long way to go in this one as they just go through the midpoint way. The red markers signify 25 metres to go. And Barlov, the Paralympic Games silver medalist in that white hat, leading the field at the moment. He's having a great swim.
Yeah, fantastic star of the future we saw for Barlov, just 15 years of age. He took the European title last year and also the Paralympic Games silver medalist, and he's coming home now in front ahead of the pre-race favourite and very close behind Castorena. 59.26 for Barlov, under the 1 minute mark for Barlov, so he will be absolutely delighted with that one. I think that might be the first time he's dipped under the 1 minute mark, and that's a good barrier to break.
Yeah, every event has their significant barriers. That 1 minute mark for these athletes, as we now just focus our attentions on Bruno Becker da Silva of Brazil. As mentioned, he is an SB1 athlete, so the lower classification group, but in the event that there are not entrants or there isn't an event for your classification group, you are eligible to swim up in the next category, which is what Becker da Silva is doing here as he comes in to touch the wall.
Yeah, good time as well. 1:43.80 off an entry time of 1:47.47, so well done to the SB1 swimmer. But Barlov meant business there right from the start.
Yeah.
He's obviously very little from his arms there. He's hardly got any arms at all. But and he doesn't get much from the legs either. But he makes the most of what he has in this SB2 class, doesn't he? That's the touch with the head as well.
Yeah, he'll have been surprised there to look to the left and not see any company.
We haven't got time for Becker da Silva, so hopefully that's going to sort itself out. We're just looking at the arena scoreboard here. But Barlov, 59.26, one of the real stars of Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's two real youngsters, 15 years of age now, but as a 14-year-old, taking the European title last year in Madeira, ahead of Morigliano, who finished third there behind Bobarev and Barlov. Nakanram in fourth place, just got ahead of Zarate Rodriguez. So just going to have to wait for the result, I think. Liz, again, a bit teething problems here in morning one, but it's not been too bad.
Also, with the lower classification groups, there tends to be more stroke exemptions that are allowed. So what happens is the athletes complete the race, and then the officials look at how they swam, and then look at their exemption codes to ensure that the strokes are all legal. So it does tend to take longer for that to happen. The lower down the classification system you go numerically, because the impairment is more significant, and therefore, as you said, with Barlov touching with his head, that wouldn't typically be allowed on breaststroke. So that's an example of an exemption, and so they just have to check all of those for the swimmers as we hopefully get the results confirmed soon.
It's appeared on the scoreboard here in the venue, so hopefully it's going to be confirmed very shortly. Some of the fans in here. Some of the fans with the fans there, we saw it. We could do with some fans up here, actually.
We could. They have some excellent fans
There is,
in the venue.
So huge fans on the ceiling. There's the Swedes. Moses Fuentes for Colombia in with all the Swedes. Oh, there we go. We have got a results summary. We're getting told it is an unofficial results summary so far. So please check the website for these official results. But as it stands, Castorena and Barlov, the two medalists, gold, silver medalists from last year, they will make their way into the final in first and second position in this 50 metres breaststroke for men. And the 50 metres breaststroke for women is coming up now. All 10 lanes being used in this one. And again, the top 8 times will qualify for that final tonight. There is the lineup. Ali van Wiksmark. This is heat 1. Angela Procida in lane number 1. Tanya Schultz goes in lane number 2. Doesn't look like there's anyone in 3. Ellie Chalice in 4. Diana Koltsova in 5. Victoria Gorenko from Israel in 6. Dominica Mecanati from Italy in 7. Teresa Perales, there we are, the Spanish swimmer. Great Spanish champion, what a record she has over the years. Teresa Perales, multi-medal Paralympian and World Championships. And Lova Johansson goes in lane number 9 for Sweden. So we are missing one swimmer by the looks of things. Swimmer in lane number 3, not taking the start. But we do have the reigning champion at the last 2 World Championships, and that's Ellie Chalice from Great Britain. Teresa Perales, though, Liz, got a fantastic record over the years. She has, it's her 8th World Championship. She's already got 22 medals to her name, one of the most medalled World Championship swimmers of all time in World Para Swimming.
Yeah, well, she's an example of an athlete who we've seen move down the classification system over the years. She was originally an S5 athlete, then had an injury that never recovered to her arm, which has moved her down into, there's 2 categories, but she's actually an SB1 in the breaststroke, so she's swimming up into this category, as is Angela Procida of Italy up there in lane number 1. Those 2 SB1 athletes, everybody else in the pool in the SB2 category. There are only 1 set of medals.
Take your marks.
And all the swimmers, with the exception of Ellie Chalice, the world champion, going from the water. So Chalice, well, what a good record Ellie Chalice has over the past few years. Good start right at the top there from Tanya Schultz in lane number 2. Spare lane between her and Ellie Chalice in the centre. But Schultz off to a very fast start indeed.
She's gone through this first 25 metres in the lead there. You can see employing that stroke where she doesn't breathe every stroke, as long as your head wakes the surface, which it is, because she doesn't have that leg kick to propel her. So a lot of the athletes do use that technique, and she's got a very high stroke rate, going very well in this heat, leading the way. There's only 1 heat, so Chalice will be able probably to see Schultz now as she comes into the red markers signifying 5 metres to go.
Yeah, Tanya Schultz, silver medalist, last World Championships in 2023 in Manchester, and look at that, 102.27 for Tanya Schultz, and that is inside the world record mark for Tanya Schultz. So Ellie Chalice's world record of 104.33 may well have just gone if that result is confirmed. Tanya Schultz inside the world record. What a swim in these heats.
Well, that was a great morning swim even, to get Tanya Schultz's campaign underway. This event not in the Paralympic Games programme, which means that we don't often get to see a lot of these athletes swimming this event. They do swim it at the World Championships. Chalice giving a wave as we watch now for the outside lanes coming in, as Van Wiksmart, they're coming through for Canada. And in lane 9, swimming is Lova Johansson of Sweden. She will round this one out. 1:49.61 was Van Wiksmart's time. As we just see now, a final swimmer in this one, Johansson, coming into that T single final few metres of the race. Her entry time was 2:23.09. She's inside that 2:20.15, so she'll be delighted. But there is Tanya Schultz.
Well, what a swim from Tanya Schultz. 102.27 for the German, and inside the world record mark. Let's see if that result is confirmed. Ellie Chalice, the previous world record holder, you see her going in lane number 4. Previous record was 104.33, set in the world champs in 2022. Tanya Schultz, well, she went off really, really fast. And we just wondered if Ellie Chalice was going to catch up in the closing stages of that one, but it never happened, did it? Because Tanya Schultz, look at the smile on the face of, well, new world record holder, shall we see? The result is confirmed. Tanya Schultz is the new world record holder in the SB2 classification. 102.27. What a swim in the heats. Well done to Tanya Schultz of Germany. And a championship record as well from Teresa Perales of Spain in the SB1 classification. Fantastic performances there from those two. Tanya Schultz, of course, someone who acquired their impairment quite recently, Liz, that's come into parasport as we move on to the next heat, which is the men's 50 freestyle S5. You saw the lineup for that one. Renata Bocciardo, Juan da Silva de Oliveira, Olnik, and Olivia Ferreira. Well, Tanya Schultz has been a real find for the German team. She had a good Paris Games, winning gold in the individual medley for the German team. As you go on to the 50 freestyle here for the S5s. That was a great swim from Tanya Schultz, wasn't it, Liz? Again, someone who's come into para swimming, and that can happen, can't it?
Yes, of course, and when you do acquire impairment, it takes you a while to figure out what is the best technique for you, and having exposure to other para-athletes, you'll see, because sometimes coaches don't really know what would work best, so it's a bit of trial and error, which is why often we see athletes that are new, or fairly new, relatively new, into the program, really sort of develop considerably over time, and that's what Schultz has done.
She was mentored, wasn't she, by Kirsten Brun, the great German champion as well. We also acquired her impairment.
Yeah, but I think even then they've realised that maybe Schultz obviously is lower classification than Brun, so there's still things that need to be adapted.
There's Bocciardo, the Italian, who goes in lane number 3. This could be very swift indeed. One lane till the pool for this 50 freestyle S5. Again, we're right in the middle of the classification range for those with physical impairments. Again, 2 heats of this one. 6 in the first heat and 7 in the second heat. And there's going to be no hanging about here. It's going to be tough to make this final.
Yeah, we see the ranger starts off the block, going well in those centre lanes is Juan and da Silva de Oliveira with the very, very similar strokes indeed.
Yeah, very similar indeed. They've got no arms with Juan and de Oliveira. Samuel de Oliveira was the one who really took it to the Chinese swimmers who dominated these S5 sprint events at the Paralympic Games and also at the World Championships last time, and just caught up in the last few strokes there for Artem Olnik. Just catching it, Olnik takes it 31.82. Just kind of shows you the different classifications there. It was the long arms of Olnik at the end who just got the touch.
Yeah, he was slower off the block. Doesn't get that start, the propulsion off the start. You see really there how the classification system plays out. You can see that sit start from him, using the length of his body to get going, but nothing from the legs, which means he has to really sort of wind up through the 50-meter length. And obviously, leg muscle such a big part of the body, so the lactic acid does start to build for those athletes that dominate with a leg kick, and it makes for a really interesting race.
And Olnik came through to take it, 31.82. Juan in third, and separated the two Oliveiras, the two Brazilians, with Samuel in second position. Should be good enough for a place in that final, you would think, but 7 swimmers in this second heat. There's the lineup for that one. And Jin Chengyu from China, the world record holder, set that world record in Paris last year. An incredible 29.33. This man, Guo, has been an absolute star for the Chinese team. Nice shot. Semenenko through the water there. Hertapoza, Kutlu, Pulver, Guo, Komarov, Semenenko and Masabi. That is the lineup for this 50 meters freestyle duel.
Take your marks.
Will we see another fantastic performance from the Chinese swimmer? A great start there. And look at that from the dive.
Yeah, you can see Simonenko going onto his back. He dived in. It's a freestyle race. You can do that. Simonenko in that Ukrainian hat closest to us, using that backstroke butterfly kick. But there is that trademark motorboat kick from Zhuo of China in lane 4. Phenomenal as he comes into the flags.
Wow, absolutely incredible. World record 29.33. It's outside that, but not by much. Indeed, 30.96 for Gül. And another fantastic swim. He will be on top for tonight. He will make it through these heats. And there is Gül, 30.96. And he's been the man who's kind of dominated this S5 freestyle events for the last couple of years. As you said, his trademark motorboat kick, and that bow wave at the front as well. If we see the shot of the front shot of Gül, look at that. You can just about make it out in that shot as he goes ahead of Simonenko from the dive. Yeah,
that's a great shot there, because you can see how Komarov was nowhere to be seen. You can see the great underwater shot of Komarov swimming without goggles. He came through very strongly at the end to split the two that led early on, but there was no one getting anywhere near Guo.
Jingchen Gül will lead them into the final. Olnik will be there as well. Samuel da Silva, Oliveira, Komarov, Simonenko, Juan. The big names have mostly made it into that final. And again, we've got the Ukrainians swimming with the arms, not getting the propulsion from the blocks. And the swimmers without arms getting the propulsion from the blocks and just trying to hold on to that lead, isn't it, Liz? A real kind of showcase of what the classification system's all about.
Yeah, it shows exactly how it plays out. And as we move on to the women's 50 freestyle S5 Heat 1.
Yeah, Monica Boggioni in the centre lane. Again, just one heat here. They've only got to lose one swimmer. Sivdeki from Greece, right up there in lane 0. Sevili Ozturk, Turkish swimmer, one of the two Turkish swimmers who have been so successful in recent years. Elizabeth Noriega from Argentina, Alison Gobil from Canada, a newcomer from the Canadian team, right next to the experienced Monica Boggioni from Italy. Agata Kupilova from Czech Republic goes in 5. Alessandra Oliveira dos Santos from Brazil in 6. Natalie Ornquist from Finland in 7. And Sumay Boachi goes in at lane number 8. Boachi and Ozturk, two Turkish swimmers, almost at the opposite ends of the pool. And again, in this S5 classification, we'll see a range of different impairments. 3 swimmers going from the water. Swimmers without the arms going from the blocks, and also some swimmers getting held on the blocks by their coaches.
Yeah, that will be all listed on their individual athlete profiles. And there is Ozturk, who always gets an excellent start. Matia Schwimmer up there in lane number 1. She will go through in the lead in 25 meters. We just saw her there flip onto her back as the athletes in the centre start to make their way through. Boggioni of Italy, with that high stroke rate, has hit the front of the field. Going well also is Oliveira dos Santos for Brazil in 6.
Boggioni coming in to the wall now. The only swimmer with an entry time under the 40-second, and that's 38.64, almost bang on her entry time. Just 7/100 shy. And Alessandra Olivia dos Santos in 2nd, another newcomer to this classification, making her debut here at the World Championships. And Kupilova in 3rd position. Agata Kupilova in 3rd place there, just ahead of Ozturk. Alison Gobil should be in the final as well. And Ornquist should also make it. Swimmer to miss out might be the Greek swimmer, Sivleki, of just outside that top 8. But there again, some great underwater shots we get in here. This S5 class, it's again a real kind of melting pot of different impairments, isn't it?
It is, and as you said in the male event, Paul, when it comes through to the final touch, you can just see how that classification system really works, and we've seen it once again with these results.
Oggioni taking it, 38.64, safely into that final. And it is the Greek swimmer, unfortunately, who will miss out of that one. Boyachi just making it in by around about a second at the end. And again, see some swimmers, I'm sure, will make some improvements on their entry times as we go through. First of the visually impaired events that we are going to see now, and that is the S13 100 meters butterfly for men. S11 to S13, those with visual impairments. The S11 are swimmers with no vision at all, and S12 and S13 are those with partial vision. So these S13 swimmers, Liz, are the ones who have most vision in the Paralympic programme in the visually impaired events.
Yeah, so there's 3 categories. The S11s are completely unsighted, and the S12, sometimes they can just see light from dark. And then the S13s, they can see a little bit more, but still a significant impairment. That means that their training and lifestyles are impacted significantly from those people who do have sight. So you see a lot of different race tactics, because a lot of these athletes cannot see their competitors. So it's always interesting to see how these races pan out.
Yeah, and again, we have 6 swimmers in the first heat, 7 swimmers in the second. So no real hanging about here. Saito, Lazatin, Verchenko, Chiskovsky, Hebmuller, and Biktrimov. Entry times for Verchenko, who is the reigning world champion. 56.17 is his entry time. World record held by Ihar Boki. Not at these championships, Ihar Boki, who's dominated the S13 events over the past few years, but good chance for someone to try and claim another title. Verchenko, a fantastic record that he has, and he's looking good in lane number 4.
Yeah, it was Verchenko that got off to a very strong start. Indeed, he used that underwater well, coming up about 14.5 meters of the 15 permitted allowed underwater. He turned first, 25.75 ahead of Chiskovsky, 27.16 with Lazutin, 27.28. They were the first 3 at the halfway point. As we go through into the final 25 meters, it is still Verchenko that leads the way from Chiskovsky.
Yeah, it's coming back now. Lane 4 and 5. Chiskovsky and Verchenko, and it is Verchenko just to the wall. 15/100ths of a second separates them. Lazatin in 3rd position. So Ukraine taking that one ahead of the 2 neutral para athletes. It looks like Saito, just over the 1 minute mark, will be in 4th position. Japanese swimmer. 1 minute .09 for Saito. So that's an improvement on the entry time. We'll be pleased with that one. Well, Verchenko had a big lead there, but Chiskovsky came back strongly, didn't he, at the end?
Yeah, those closing stages, that gap really did go. And again, it came down to the touch. And as we say so often for the athletes in the visually impaired category, the touch can be so important. A lot of athletes rely on a stroke count. Don't have always that capability to spot the wall in the traditional sense. And actually, that's always adds to the entertainment and exciting and trepidation of a visually impaired race.
Verchenko just take it by 15/100ths of a second. Chiskovsky in 2nd. They should be into the final safely. 3 swimmers under the 1 minute mark. And we have 4 swimmers entered under the 1 minute mark in this next heat, including France's Alex Portal, silver medalist from Paris last year, silver medalist at the last 2 World Championships in this one. Singapore also represented by Ji Wei Wong, right up there in lane number 1. Gabriel Steen from Norway, neutral para athlete, Tisbrook in lane number 3. Alex Portal goes in the centre, the top of those 2 yellow marked lanes in lane 4. Alhambra Moya in 5, Hendricks from South Africa in 6, and Fernandez Garcia in lane number 7. Again, all about making the final here, Liz, but Alex Portal might want to put down a little bit of a statement. He's been challenged by Tisbrook in the early stages here. Not much in it at the turn.
No, it is Tisbrook who turns first, 26.50 to Portal's 26.76 ahead of Nathan Hendricks for South Africa, 27.27. As we can see here now, it is those two athletes still out in the lead, with Tisbrook leading the way. Portal has got that long arm stroke starting to come through level now, and it will go down to the touch.
Certainly will. It's all going to be on that finish, and both of them reach at almost exactly the same time. 7/100ths separating them. Portal just taking it. 57.21. Not quite as fast as that first heat, but this again is shaping up to be a fantastic contest here. Portal had to work hard there in the closing stages, and again, the two swimmers visually impaired, Liz, but side by side they'll have known where they were next to each other. I think certainly Portal has been aware of Tisbrook there as they went through.
Yeah, they absolutely would have sensed each other, and at that point Portal was quite far behind in relative terms, so he did close the gap significantly. What they won't have the advantage of doing, like what you would traditionally do in swimming, is seeing the scoreboard from the first heat. So actually being in the second heat, often for French athletes, not French athletes, but visually impaired athletes,
French athletes
isn't always an advantage like it usually would be.
Well, they're going to be into the final, these two, Portal and Tisbrook. They are in 3rd and 4th, I said. Not quite as fast as the first heat. Verchenko will lead them through. And, well, is it 1 minute? 1 minute mark to make that final? I think only one swimmer, Saito, with 1 minute .09, the final swimmer to qualify here. As we move on to the women's event. 2 heats of this one. So 5 in the first heat and 6 in the second heat. So slightly easier qualification, you would say. USA represented by Gia Pergolini and Grace Newfer. Roisin Nirian, silver medalist at the last World Championships for Ireland, goes in lane number 5. In the 2 outside lanes, Alani Ferreira from South Africa and Ariadna Edo Beltran from Spain. Again, Grace Newfer, the Paralympic Games silver medalist from last year, just behind Carlotta Giri from Italy on that occasion. Again, we spoke, Liz, about all the youngsters coming through here, but these World Championships, we've seen a lot of Paralympic champions returning to the pool, not Paralympic medalists, and in some events, so we're looking through the entry time, we've got top 6 or 7 from those Paris Paralympic Games taking part in the events as well, so real quality here in Singapore.
Yeah, and it all depends on where you are really in your para swimming journey, and I think we say very experienced Carlotta Gili, but she's still only 24 years old, so still youthful by many a marker at para swimming. But going well here is Newfer in this heat number 1. She turns 30.45 ahead of Pergolini, 30.71, just 2/100ths ahead of Roisin Nirian of Ireland. They are your front 3, with Edo Beltran trying to hold on to that front battle, but Grace Newfer looking very strong here through 75 metres. So they go into that red marker, saying 15 metres to go.
And Grace Newfer, again, relative newcomer to the US team. She kind of made a debut at the Pan American Games in 2023 and 104.22 for Grace Newfer. That leads the world rankings this year, Liz, so good heat swim there. Roisin Nirian in 2nd place in 105.55, and Gia Pergolini just ahead of Ariadna Edo Beltran. But Grace Newfer looking very good there, very strong in the second 50.
Yeah, she looked comfortable. On butterfly, you're always going to have a bit of heavy breathing when you touch the wall at the finish. Some strong starts all round. Newfer getting into the water first. Looking good. It'll be a race for that final, but like we say in these heats, it's all about getting the job done, getting yourself into that final, giving yourself a lane.
And she's not too far away from the time she was in Paris. But again, in butterfly, not always that easy to take it easy, is it, in the heats? Newfer looking to be confirmed as the winner of that one. Again, we've got a little bit of a delay here before we confirm the result. Let's hope there's nothing amiss. Roisin Narian, again, continuing a good run of Irish success last year at the Paralympic Games. A couple of medals, the Irish swimmer. And Ireland, another country who've lost a couple of big stars, but they've got some good youngsters coming through.
Yes, they have. We have a number of nations where there's small teams, and then they have a few successful athletes. But you learn so much from being in a squad with those athletes. And Roisin Narian really has taken over the mantle for the Irish athletes of late. There's some interesting T-shirts in the support stands. We've seen that United States have got great support T-shirts as we just see the results come in.
Oh, well. We did talk about Roisin Narian, and unfortunately, she is the one that has been disqualified. So that's unfortunate for the Irish swimmer. The other 4 results were confirmed there. Grace Newfer and Gia Pergolini will now lead the way. And the second heat will see another American, Olivia Chambers. But Carlotta Gili, the world record holder, European, world and Paralympic champion from Italy. She will start as the favourite. She goes there in lane number 4. Zabaltseva in 2, Chambers in 3, Gili in 4, Ordilova from Uzbekistan in 5, Polo Lopez from Spain in 6, and we saw Taylor Cable with the Norwegian cap there closest to us in lane number 7.
Well, Ordilova got off the block very well in 5, as did Chambers. Chambers had a great start. She's got a very interesting technique that differs from the other athletes. So she spins her arms over to get off the block, and there's Gili in that cap for Italy in the centre. It's those 3 out in front in the early stages of the race. Polo Lopez for Spain is 1 lane closer to her. She's sticking with that early battle as we go into the turn. 30 flat for Gili at the halfway point. 0.45 ahead of Chambers, who was then 0.45 ahead of Ordilova. So it's those 3 go well. There is Gili. She is the one to beat in this event, and she's looking strong in this first event of what I'm sure is a busy programme for her.
Yeah, that's her world record. You can see there, 102.22, and Gili has the advantage here over Chambers, 1 lane up, and she is going to come in there in good swim for 104.67. Chambers inside 106.14. Ordilova 106.47, and Polo Lopez 107.56. That'll be good enough for those top 4 to make it into that final. But Gili again looking comfortable. As you said, Liz, she's again, we saw it with Stefano Raimondi a little bit earlier. He's got a heavy programme, some of these swimmers, aren't they? So the Italians, Gili and Raimondi, are going to be 2 of them. We might see them almost every single day.
Yeah, and it means that you do have to use that experience that you've got in the heats to get into a comfortable rhythm that makes you confident, but not to manage your energy levels so that you can get through the week, because day 7 is just as important as day 1 if you are a multi-event athlete.
Yeah, it's about balancing it, isn't it? You've got to just balance that program. Not even if you're just a multi-event athlete. If you're an athlete that has only got their best event, or maybe their only event on day 7, you've got to manage that, haven't you? And that's difficult when all your teammates are there and winning medals and doing personal best. You've got to just wait and bide your time. So there we are. Grace Newfer from the first heat will lead the way. Carlotta Gili in second, Olivia Chambers and Ordilova in second place. And there is the DQ for Roisin Narian. It was unfortunate for the Irish swimmer. So 100 backstroke, S6. So we've got the fan walls happening in the arena here. So again, we just have 1 heat here, and we do have 1 swimmer not taking the start. which means we're only going to lose one.
We should probably explain that, fan wall. Basically, there's a QR code on the big scoreboard. You scan it, you take a photo, and then you get pinged into all your glory on the screen. Maybe you can do one later in the week.
Yeah, we should do that, I think. What do you think, Liz? Maybe when it's less hot.
Maybe when we've got a fan.
Oh dear. The sun's kind of moving around a little bit though. We're not as hot as we were in the early stages.
No, we are indoors. We should confirm it's just the side panel of open air, which is currently.
That's right. We're right at the top of the athlete seating. And yeah, it's been very hot weather here on these huge fans in the arena. We're not quite under them, are we? Which is a pity. Because take about maybe a couple of strides forward and we'd be right under these and we'd be great.
Yeah, but we'd also get confused for athletes and we don't want to be racing. So, you know, you
We
can't have
don't
it both
want to be
ways,
doing
can you?
Yeah, I think that ship sailed, doesn't it?
And redocked. Yeah, definitely. But,
Yeah, well, World Championships, of course, been going since 1994. First one in Malta. And we were having a little bit of a debate whether it was the 12th or the 13th World Championships. Because it's the 12th World Championships long course, but we did have one short course championship, so it's the officially the 13th World Paraswimming Championships, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, did you take part in this?
I don't know. Hang on.
Got to count now.
9, 10.
10?
No, 6, 9, 10. I was
Oh,
counting
6,
the
9, 10.
years.
I was going to say, you've done well.
Oh no, I'm not as old as you.
6, 9, 10, yeah. I took part in a couple of world champs prior to them being called IPC world champs as well.
Now you're showing your age.
Exactly, yeah.
Now we're onto a flex cam, Paul.
Flex cam? Oh.
The fan cam has become a flex cam, and you have to.
You see that? That would have been good for me when I was bulked up back in the day.
You keep saying this. If anyone has got footage of or pictures of the day that Paul Noble
The one
was
day.
bulked up and buffed, please do send them across.
Oh, you're so kind to me, Johnson. Oh. Let's move on to the men's 100 backstroke. I tell you, it happened.
I'm sure it did.
There's a big banner there for Antonio Fantine, and he will take part in this one. Two of the Gutierrez Bermudez brothers will also be there. Raul Gutierrez Bermudez goes in lane number 0. He is the older of the three Gutierrez Bermudez brothers. There was Antonio Fantine. Dino Sinovcic from Croatia. It's been the big medal hope for Croatia in recent years. Some of the young swimmers coming through for Croatia as well. Yang Hong from China will go next to his teammate Liu Yanbo in lane number 3. So 2 Chinese swimmers in the middle lanes there. Liu Yanbo in 3, Yang Hong in 4. Dino Sinovcic goes in lane number 5, so the bottom of those 2 yellow marked lanes. Again, this is the S6 class, Liz, and again we'll see some differences in impairment. Some swimmers with the strong legs will get away from the wall quickly. Some of the swimmers with the strong arms, not much leg power for the likes of Dino Sinovcic. Likely to be behind in the early stages, but may catch up later in the race. Again, just one swimmer to lose here. Looks like we're missing lane 3, I think. We don't have that starter in lane 3. All the other swimmers there, and it's a good start from Yang Hong, Paralympic champion and reigning world champion as well. Yang Hong, challenged though in the early stages by Liu Yanbo. We have had a change of the lanes actually. Liu Yanbo now in lane number 6. Fantine in lane number 2.
And as we can see in the centre, going well in 4, it will be Yang. He went in first, but it was Sinovic who got his feet to the wall. 36.21 to Yang's 36.52, ahead of Ivzinko's 37.59. That single arm stroke there of Yang of China coming through the 75-meter bout, but the long stroke of Dino Sinovic will look to come back level with him as they come into the closing stages.
Yeah, and it is going to be down to the touch here, so Sinovic's got a little bit of an advantage there with the arms. It looks like Yang Hong with that short arm might just stretch for it. It was very close, but Sinovic gets it 18/100ths of a second, separating those two. And it is Croatia ahead of the 2 Chinese swimmers. Yang Hong, Liu Yangbo, Laurent Chardard from France in 4th position, should make it through to that final. And the one swimmer to miss out might be one of the Gutierrez Bermudez brothers. I think it might be Raul who will miss out going there in lane number 9. But it was a good swim from the Croatian. Sinovic held on there at the end, had the advantage, as we said, of the arms as they come through. Just first to the wall at the turn. Again, not getting much propulsion from the legs there, and the best turn going through from Yang Hong, but as they got into the swim, it is Sinovic. But he knows what he's got left in the tank. He'll think the Chinese swimmers also have got something left to give. 2 1:17s will lead the way, and it is one of the Gutierrez Bermudez brothers, Raul, who doesn't make that top 8. Again, difficult to tell on that heat, wasn't it? Like we were going to see in the final. You can see a number of swimmers that's picking up the pace as we go on to the next event, which is the 200 freestyle for men. We have 2 heats of this one. This is the first time we're going to see the S14 class, Liz.
This is the classification group for those with an intellectual impairment. So this para swimming program is split into 3 different types of disability groups: the functional categories, classification groups, and the visually impaired classification groups, and then the intellectual classification group, of which there is only one classification. It is the S14s, and this is their first event of the program.
Yeah, Nicholas Bennett from Canada, who had a great games in Paris. 2 gold medals and a silver in this one, the 200 freestyle. There's Dylan Broom. Commonwealth Games swimmer for the Welsh team. Dylan Broom, back in 2022, Liz.
Yes. A number of Commonwealth Games eligible athletes, and this does tend to be an event at the Commonwealth Games.
Chung from Hong Kong in lane number 6, closest to us. Declan Budd, lane number 5. Nicholas Bennett in the centre, lane number 4. Black cap of Canada. Dylan Broom in 3, and Nadir Khalili in lane number 4. Khalili, bronze medalist at the European Championships for Finland. So 200 freestyle for these S14 athletes. Not going to be easy to make the finals. A strong heat to come in the second heat. 6 swimmers to come in that second heat. So position in the top 2 or 3, all important here for these S14 athletes.
Yeah, and often these S14 athletes, some of them do have difficulty with pacing, which is often what leads them into this category. So we see sometimes they get caught up into someone else's race plan. As you said, Paul, they won't be able to hang around too much, because this is one of the events where actually there's often quite tight touches, as we see there. Great Britain's Dylan Broom breathing towards Nicholas Bennett, who was the Commonwealth Games champion in those Commonwealth Games that Broom attended. So Bennett will turn first at the halfway point. 56.88 ahead of Broom's 57.02 to Australian rookie Declan Budd's 57.66.
It's almost a textbook arrowhead, spearhead there in the group here. And Nicholas Bennett from Canada, who had a fantastic Paralympic Games, really picked up last year in Paris to win those 2 gold medals. He'll be one of the ones to beat. We've got the world record holder in the next heat to come. That's Will Ellard of Great Britain, but he had a great tussle with Bennett in the Paralympic Games. Bennett looking good again here, right in the centre.
Here he comes into the final 25 meters. He's got a body length lead over now. Declan Budd, who's picked up the pace, the youngster from Australia, just 17 years old. It will be Bennett that comes in to take this touch.
Yeah, Bennett does it, 1:56.07. Well, good swim there from Bennett. That should make him into the final comfortably, I think, for Nicholas Bennett. 1:57.39 for Declan Budd. So he finishes in second place. Chung from Hong Kong coming through in 1:58.67. So well done to him. He'll be in third place. That's put him in a good spot to make that final as well. Nadir Khalili in fourth, and Dylan Broom, the early leader, in fifth place, just over the 2-minute mark.
Yeah, we can see again there the different ways that the pacing plays out for these S14 athletes. Broom with that fast first 50 metres. Bennett with a shake of the head at the end of that. Looks really comfortable. He, like I said, had a great Paris win and Canada's first gold medal of the Paralympic Games. They had to wait a while for it. There are those results.
Yeah, Bennett taking it. Declan Budd in second, and Chung in third place. Nadir Khalili in fourth. Dylan Broom in fifth. Here is heat number 2. World record holder Will Ellard goes in lane number 4. Berdnick will go in lane number 3. Jack Ireland in 5. Gabriel Bandera in 6. And Chang from Singapore, Weichi Sang Charan Chan, will go in lane number 4, the Singapore swimmer. Well, we were expecting to see Alexander Hillhouse from Denmark, but he's not taking the start. So a chance for someone to step up here and claim that place in the final. Good start in lane number 6, Gabriel Bandera. Another swimmer, well, been the world champion before, Gabriel Bandera, back in 2022. It's quite difficult to tell sometimes how Bandera is going to swim these races, isn't it? Sometimes he takes it really easy in the heats.
Yeah, he's an example of one of those S14 athletes that we said that sometimes doesn't quite get it right, and has been an athlete that's missed out on a place in a final when he's gone in almost as the pre-race favourite. So we've seen him try and work on that over the years that he's developed as an elite athlete on the majors stage. But Will Ellard of Great Britain, who wasn't the quickest off the block, but he's definitely the quickest through the first 100, 54.14, ahead of Jack Ireland's 55.28, with Bandera right there, 55.78. Very different strokes. You see Bandera with that long glide with new stroke. Pretty consistent stroke rate from Jack Ireland, but that comfortable swim there from Will Ellard, who's a great sprinter, and he uses that speed and power in this 200 metres freestyle. He goes over, he's the Paralympic champion, going over in 123.65 to Ireland's 125.29, with Bandera at 126.01.
Oh, he looks comfortable, doesn't he, Will Ellard? Of course, the 50 and the 100 freestyle, not events for the S14 classification. So Ellard, as you said, is a great freestyler, and he's had to use that freestyle strength in the 200, but does a great job here. Coming through is Jack Ireland in that Australian cap, but Ellard in 154.11, looking in great shape. Will Ellard wasn't too far away from world record pace right through that first 150. So Ellard looking good, nod of the head, he's pleased with that one. He'll be fastest into that final. Ireland will be second fastest as he finishes in 155.17. And a good swim from Bandera. He'll be third fastest in 156.06, so a fast second heat.
Yeah, that was strong. We saw Bennett in the first heat for Canada also looking pretty comfortable when he touched the wall, so he'll want to get in amongst these athletes. But that was a strong heat there, for, as expected, with that much talent and power on the start line. William Ellard looking very comfortable.
Yeah, well done, Will Ellard. He will lead the way into the final. Jack Ireland will be second, as we said. Bandera third, just 1/100th ahead of Nicholas Bennett. Declan Bard, Berdnik, Chung and Kalili will be the other finalists, that top 8. And the women's 200 freestyle also making their way now to the start. Singapore represented, Daniel Moy from Singapore in lane number 0. Lau Chi Yi from Hong Kong, Kajamata from Thailand. Big presence from Great Britain in this one. Georgia Sheffield going in 3. Shabalina, fastest entry time, neutral para athlete, will go in lane number 4. Poppy Maskell and Louise Fiddis, the second and third of the Great Britain swimmers. There's Louise Fiddis. Pernilla Lindberg from Sweden in 7. And Chung Hyo-ying from Hong Kong, second of the Hong Kong swimmers, going in lane number 8. It's Pernilla Lindberg. Great Britain swimmers in this S14 classifications, Liz, got the fastest 5 times on the world rankings this year. 5 different Great Britain swimmers, real strength in depth for the GB team. Only 3, of course, can swim at this World Championships.
Well, we do see that from certain countries. And we've seen a lot of countries already with 3 athletes per event. And it does, that domestic competition does bring on the strength when it comes to these major championships, because it means you're used to racing hard all of the time.
Shabalina, though, Paralympic champion from Tokyo and also from Paris. And in Paris, she was ahead of Poppy Maskell, who took the silver medal, and Louise Fiddis, who took the bronze. Louise Fiddis has got a good record, actually. Great Britain swimmer in this 200 freestyle. Twice a bronze medalist at the World Championships on the last 2 occasions, 22 and 23. Shabalina, you would think, would be the one to beat. She is in lane number 4, but Maskell off to a good start in lane number 5 here.
Yeah, it is Maskell that goes over first, 28.96 ahead of Georgia Sheffield, 29.62, just 4/100ths ahead of Shabalina, who splits the Brits. Fiddis 29.72, and so often Valeria Shabalina has been the athlete to upset the British women's S14 athletes. They always know there's going to be a strong competition, and we can see here now going well. In 4 is Shabalina, but going better at the halfway stage. In 5 is Poppy Maskell, 101.55 ahead of Fiddis' 102.23, with the Brits Sheffield 102.41 in the top 3 places. Shabalina still right there though. She knows what she's got to do here this morning in these heats, is to spearhead again once more develops. If we get that overhead shot, you will see exactly how the lane seeding plays out. Maskell looking strong as she goes into the final turn. 135.44 ahead of Sheffield, 136.80, 137.35 for Shabalina.
Maskell looking good. And she might just take that one. Sheffield, we've seen her swim very good, strong in the closing stage of 200 freestyles this year. Shabalina coming through as well, looking comfortable in the centre of the pool. And Louise Fiddis is going to be there. They're going to be the top 4, 3 from Great Britain and 1 neutral para-athlete. Shabalina actually gets in for second, just ahead of Georgia Sheffield by 4/100ths of a second. And Pernilla Lindberg will be in 5th place. She will be in the final. Lindberg, another experienced swimmer from Sweden.
Last 5 metres, let's make some noise for Daniel Moy.
Daniel Moy coming in for the host nation, the Singapore swimmer, with a big ovation here from the crowd. Seen a few Singapore swimmers here enjoying their heat swims. We haven't seen kind of the big hitters for the Singapore team yet.
No, we haven't. But what we have seen is there's cardboard cutouts once again. We first saw them. I think we first saw them in Paris, didn't we, for the home swimmers? And now there's Singaporean athletes in cardboard cutout form around the pool. So that's good. No.
Singapore athletes in cardboard cutout form. That's what we like to see.
But as we see here, this is promising to be an exciting race this evening. 4 into 3 doesn't really go. Shabalina moving through. We saw the strength there of the neutral para athlete in the final stages.
Yeah, Shabalina, again, experienced campaigner, will definitely be one for the Great Britain swimmers to worry about, as it has been traditionally. Shabalina, as you said, Liz, has been the one who has almost broken the dominance of the GB swimmers in this women's S14 classification. And we'll see how that plays out in the final tonight. Should be another interesting one. Some good performances we've seen this morning, but again, with the qualification, sometimes not too difficult for the experienced swimmers to make it into that final. Difficult to tell how things are going, or how things are going to play out in that final. But here is the next event. It's the first individual medley event that we're going to see at these championships, and it's in the SM7 classification. Again, these classifications in the middle of the classification group, the 5, the 6s and the 7s, you see a range of different impairments. And there is the Paralympic champion, Inaki Basilov of Argentina. What games he had, how the Argentinians celebrated when he took the gold in Paris last year. Ganiuk, neutral para athlete, goes in 0. Riccardo Magrassi from Italy in 1. Yuri Semyonovs, experienced swimmer from Latvia, goes in lane number 2. Huang Jikan from China in 3. Inaki Basilov, the Paralympic champion, in 4. Christian Sadi from South Africa. Big hope for a South African medal. Here he goes in lane number 5. Federico Biccelli, strong for Italy. He goes in lane number 6. Igor Efrosinin in 7. And Ernie Gawalan from the Philippines goes in 8. I don't think the Philippines have ever won a medal in World Paraswimming World Championships, so they've got a couple of good chances this week. Ernie Gawalan being the one, maybe not in this event, but watch out for him in some events to come later on this week. Again, as we said, Liz, different impairments here and different strokes obviously in the individual medley, so you know we can see the lead changing hands a number of times potentially.
Yeah, different starting techniques too, and we can see there Basilov coming through strongly in the latter half of the butterfly leg. Sadi with a strong first 150 metres for South Africa of this 200 metres individual medley. He turns second, or just under a second behind Basilov in the end after that butterfly. But again, a great showcase of how the classification system differs, with Sadi using that underwater phase of his race to use the great kick, get himself up and into the race, but then Basilov will tend to use the second half, the swim part of each stroke, to bring himself back level. And it is the Argentinian now just going ahead as they come into the final 5 metres of the backstroke. For the halfway turn, it will be Basilov that goes on to the breaststroke. 112.22 ahead of 112.8 for Christian Sadi, ahead of Biccelli, who had a strong backstroke leg there, the Italian in lane number 6. But we would expect there now Sadi to move ahead on this breaststroke leg. He really needs to make the most of the advantage that he gets on this breaststroke, as he drives with that leg kick, because once they move on to the freestyle, he won't be able to use the butterfly kick that he so often does, because he's already used that on the butterfly leg. So he used that alternating kick in the final stages, which is often slower for the athletes with the upper arm impairments. But it will be the South African Christian Sadi that turns onto the final 50 in the lead. 157.56 for him, ahead of Basilov, 201.13.
Basilov and Bocelli, of course, very strong freestylers as well. Expect them to pull back. Christian Sadi going really well here at on this freestyle. He was 5th place in the Paris Games last year in the Paralympic Games, so he'll be hoping to get on the medal podium again. Christian Sadi is coming through now. Basilov just stroking through pretty comfortably. Ganyuk going well right at the top, but it is going to be Christian Sadi into the wall in a time of 2:36 for Christian Sadi. That's not too far away from his entry time, 2:35.02. Basilov, that's comfortable for the Argentinian, and Ganyuk right at the top, just getting in. Magrassi in 2nd, Huang in 3rd, and Bocelli in 4th place, just ahead of Efrosinin. And the final 2 swimmers will finish, Efrosinin and Ernie Galwan. It might be the swimmer from the Philippines who's going to miss out on that one, but Christian Sadi looking good there.
Yeah, he looked really comfortable actually throughout that race. A real opportunity for him to get on this podium. So often there's been such a strong Ukrainian presence in this one from Andrei Trusov and Yevgeny Bohodayko.
Carlos Serrano Zarate as well has got a good record in this event as well, but not taking part in this 200 IM senior Colombian.
Yeah, we have, and like so you often see that, like we said, after Paralympic Games, people play around with their programs or actually just take a bit more time to get back into their training cycle. But it does present opportunity.
So Christian Sadi will lead the way. We did have a disqualification. It does mean that Ernie Galvan will take his place in the final for the Philippines. Semyonov will be there. Everyone will be there. Basilov, the Paralympic champion, might well be their favourite for this one. Do you remember the Argentinians celebrating when they won that? They were right behind us when Enrique Basilov took that gold in Paris. That was one of the best celebrations I remember from the Paris Games.
There was a lot of singing.
Oh, was indeed. I think we've gone to the fan wall again, Liz.
We have gone to the fan wall. There's quite a diverse group of fans in here, lots of travelling supporters.
A little bit of a delay before the start time. Of course, we have the start times published. Is that the Port Charles again?
It is, and then I think Tommy Gallett goes fans behind them, so they've got a bit of a wait till the end of the heats this morning.
Yeah, those fast 50 freestyles coming up in probably about an hour's time, is it? We're at,
hopefully.
well, we're not too far behind, but not 10 minutes behind, 5 minutes behind. As we see the first start time, first heat. I'm leading the start time. The start time's 10:39 local time here in Singapore. It's just gone 10:44, so exactly 5 minutes behind. See the Dominican swimmer Alejandra Ibar in 2. Alia Lettenberger from the USA goes in lane number 3. Iona Winifreth from Great Britain goes in lane number 4. Julia Gaffney in lane number 5, and Eunchuk Yang from Hong Kong goes in lane number 6. That is the starting lineup for this heat. We've got 5 in this one, 6 in the next. And, well, Iona Winifreth from Great Britain, the 14-year-old. Was a 13-year-old last year when she took a medal at the Paralympic Games in breaststroke. She's also the reigning European champion, Liz.
She is, and she's an example of an athlete who, again, is just getting quicker every time she gets in the water, especially at a major championships. But Julia Gaffney, 1 lane closer to us for America in that white hat that the Americans wear in the heats. Very strong swimmer too. She's looking good down this first 50. Those two, really stroke, very different impairments. Iona Winifreth with the short stature, and then the double leg amputation for Julia Gaffney. So yeah, it will play out differently over the course of this individual medley, but they go into the wall with only less than half a second separating them. 38.174 Winifreth ahead of Gaffney, 38.63 with Ahalia Lettenberger of the USA, who's got a strong backstroke, turning third, 41.81. Lettenberger just completed her masters, so she actually submitted her dissertation on the plane, which is impressive that she got the Wi-Fi to work. It's impressive that she got the Wi-Fi to work that long, if you ask me. So that athlete can't achieve anything this week. And
she's based in the UK, isn't she? She's seen a few UK national competitions, Lettenberger.
She did do that Masters out of Loughborough, but she's here now in Singapore, and strong, like I said, strong backstroke, very strong freestyle as well. But it is Gaffney who turns first of the Americans, 125.50 ahead of Winifred, 129.40 now onto her stronger stroke, the breaststroke. That's where she has the advantage, with Lettenberger over in third, 130.54.
Yeah, Winifred now closing up on the shoulder of Gaffney, as we might have expected. Gaffney's got very strong freestyle, so Winifred if she wants to win this one, she's going to have to be ahead of Gaffney, I think, at that final turn. She doesn't have to win it, of course, it's just the heats. And the swimmers who finish first and second in this one will be guaranteed a place in the final. But Winifred has just got the edge. Again, she leads the world rankings this year under the 1 minute mark. She is a European record holder, that time 2:59.91, so good swim here from Iona Winifred, taking up the lead here just ahead of Gaffney.
Yeah, 2:21.174 Winifred ahead of 2:23.71 for Gaffney. You would expect that from the British swimmer in four. She is an SB7 athlete as well, with Julia Gaffney and Ahalia Lettenberger are SB6 for breaststroke. And you can see already Gaffney using that freestyle strongly as they go through into the final 25 meters mark, and now they are shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, Gaffney just about eclipsing now Iona Winifred as they come into the closing stages here. Lettenberger is going to be third, Unchuk Yang in fourth. Winifred making a little bit of a sprint at the end there. She had something left, but Gaffney was able to hold on to the victory just by 6/100ths of a second there. So Gaffney will take that one. That was a good tussle there between those two. Lettenberger in third place and Unchuk Yang, who closed up there in her signature breaststroke event and was able to hold on at the end. Ibar from Dominican Republic is in fifth position, but a good swim from Gaffney and Winifred. 3:04.92 and 3:04.98. They will take that one and lead the way into the final as it stands, with one more heat to come.
Well, once again, we see the range. The individual medley events always show excitement due to the changing of strokes and that swimmer's strengths. And once you throw in the para-swimming element of different impairments too, it becomes even more entertaining. And the key is not to lose your cool when you're not on your strongest stroke. And I think Julia Gaffney showed there. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was a bit of, was a bit of pride. It doesn't really matter who touches the wall first in the heats, like you said, but it's always nice to hold on.
It is. 6/100ths was the gap. I don't know, Winifred put a little bit of a sprint on there. She wanted to win that one. Just lost out on the touch, but she'll be back again for that final. And here is heat number 2. Ortiz Mendes, Doris Wegeman, Korsava, Manera Manduano, and Nick Braddock. Irish swimmer closest to us. Mallory Wegeman, reigning Paralympic champion. Twice over, actually. She won this title in Paris, and she won it again. Won it in Tokyo firstly, and then won it again in Paris. And Mallory Wegeman, again a swimmer who made her World Championship debut back in 2010. In fact, was she at the short course championships in 2009? Mallory Wegeman?
She was, but we haven't decided if we're counting those in this, in this long
right.
course tally, are we? But yes, 2009, 2010, we said.
But she's only done one other World Championships, you know what? 2019. She's got a great Paralympic record, Mallory Wegman. You were beside her the other day on one of the forums on the Disability Sports Forum panel. And she said, looked in good shape, didn't she? Looked in good mindset for this one coming through. She's second at the moment ahead of Danielle Doris, and we saw Christian Sadi in the men's heat, and Danielle Doris, very similar impairment to Christian Sadi, and we could see a very similar race from her.
Yeah, and as we said again, you got to play to your strength, and Doris, and butterfly specialist at some point. So her first 100 meters, definitely the strongest half of this 200 meters individual medley for her. Wegerman there now, working her way back to the front of the field on the backstroke after Doris opened that initial lead. And it will be Wegerman that leads at the halfway point. 122.13 ahead of Doris's 122.65. The breaststroke will see them pretty evenly matched. In terms of, probably Doris would say her weakest of the 4 strokes. Wegerman going well. Different styles, you can see that. Sort of double-armed pull, so you do one big pull, one little pull for a lot of the athletes that don't have propulsions from the legs, and you can see there for Wegerman it sort of keeps you streamlined and keeps you flatter to the wall, minimises the resistance. Going well, one lane closer to us is Veronika Kozova. She's having a great breaststroke leg here. She's overhauled Danielle Doris, just out of your shot at the moment as we focus on our race leader, Mallory Wegerman.
Almost a little skull at the front of the stroke as well, isn't it, to keep that level?
Yeah, that's that smaller stroke there as Wegerman turns and heads for home. 2:16.29 ahead of Kozova, who's moved into that second position, as I said, 2:18.44 with Doris, 2:21.46. They are your front 3 in this heat number 2. They're well clear of the rest of the field. Somalera Mantojano of Mexico in lane 6 is currently in 4th position.
Wegerman is going to bring them home here. Let's have a little eye on the clock. I think it's going to be faster than the first heat. Winifred and Gaffney coming in at 3:04.9. It's 2:57 for Wegerman. Korsava coming through strongly in 2:59. Wegerman pleased with that one. Great swim there, and Korsava has gone under the 3-minute mark. She's gone under the time posted by Iona Winifred, and that could be a new European record for Diana Korsava if that one, Veronika Korsava, if that one is confirmed. In 2:59.10. Doris in 3rd, she'll be safely into that final, I think. And Somalera Manduano winning the tussle of the 2 Mexicans, but there's Mallory Wegerman celebrating. What a swim that was.
Yeah, well, it does propel her to the top of the world rankings this year. 6 seconds quicker than she's been. And we say, for some of these, when we say experienced athletes, we're talking about the length of time they've been in the game. And you've got to, like we see it a lot, they change their approach and their preparation so that they can continue the longevity. And I think we'll talk about the Americans doing that a lot as they go into their home Paralympic Games, because you, like you said, dangle that carrot. You definitely want to be in LA in 28 if you are a US Paralympian. So you've got to do things differently, and sometimes people question that, or sometimes you question it as an athlete. And so when you do look up at the scoreboard and you see a surprisingly good time, you will celebrate it.
And she is celebrating it there, so that was an excellent time for Wegerman. Excellent heat swim from her. And she will claim her place in the final. Korsava, what a swim. European record for the Ukrainian. Julia Gaffney and Iona Winifred will be in 3rd and 4th. Expect them to go a little bit faster in that final, but Mallory Wegerman, well, fantastic swim there from her. She's the world record holder, Mallory Wegerman. Don't think we mentioned that, but that world record has stood since 2010. Long-standing one, that one. Here we go for the 50 freestyle S11. These are the swimmers with no vision at all, and the swimmers have to wear blacked-out goggles. The only exemption to the S11 is not wearing blacked-out goggles. If they don't have eyes at all, if they have prosthetic eyes, they don't have to wear the blacked-out goggles, but you will see blacked-out goggles being worn by most of the swimmers here. And big names in this one. Nikolenko, Lee, Matakis, Hua, Dorsman, D'Souza and Cantero. It's a lineup for this one. Again, 7 in the first heat, 7 in the second. It's going to be, we love the S11 events, don't we? So much can happen.
Yeah, and it's the one event, one classification really, where the heats don't always indicate what's going to happen in the final, because there's so many variables. If you think about when you're swimming and you're not able to see, like if you get caught on the lane rope, or if you don't quite hit the touch pad right on the turn or the finish, like, or you quite often they'll clatter arms with the person in the lane next to them as well. Like, there's so much that can happen. So it's always an exciting race.
It certainly is. I mean, the key to this 50 freestyle, of course, is not being on those lane ropes, swimming down the lane. And there's some experienced campaigners here who are very, very good at that. Roger Dorsman is the reigning world champion. He goes in at lane number 5. Won the title in 2022 and in 2023. Edgaras Matakis was behind him in 2022 in the silver medal position, and he's also a former champion. Matakis from 2017, he goes up the top of those yellow marked lanes in lane number 3, the Lithuanian. And he got a good start, Matakis there.
Well, Matakis does tend to be one of those athletes who actually has perfected swimming down at the centre of the lane, but going well. One lane up from him, it is Lee in that bright hat.
Well, it's difficult for us to see with that splash from the swimmers at the front, but Matakis going really well. Dorsman also there in lane 5. It's the two great rivals over the years who are into the wall first. 26.10 for Dorsman, and that is not far away at all from his entry time of 26.07. And Matakis also right on his entry time, 26.34 for Matakis. So those two will be into the final. Hua Dongdong just getting ahead of Lee, the two Chinese swimmers under the 27-second mark. But there's Roger Dorsman. That was a good opening for him.
Yeah, we just see again, even in 50 metres, so much can happen. And Dorsman came through very strongly at the end. It was Matakis, Lee and Hua Dongdong that got off to the better start. But once they were into those closing stages, the strength that Dorsman has. He's another athlete who has a big program in the para-swimming events, strong over the distance events too, and that showed in those closing stages.
But blacked out goggles get checked, of course, before we get the official result. So blacked out goggles checked for the swimmers, just to make sure they are indeed blacked out. Remember any disqualifications for non-blacked out goggles? I think all the teams are pretty much on it, but it is a possibility. If you have, if some of the swimmers are able to see through those blacked out goggles, it will be a disqualification.
Well, they still probably wouldn't be able to see through them, Paul.
Well, that's true. But some of them do have
light to
some
dark.
light
That
perception,
is true.
don't they?
Yeah, but yes. So yeah, you've got to be very. You have to. It's an example of the trust that is required, though, because you are as an athlete in the S11 category, you are completely reliant on your support staff and coaching team checking those goggles for you.
There is the result. I think we have a confirmed result here. Dorsman 26.10, Matakis and Hua Dongdong. That's the top 3 confirmed, and all under 27 seconds. The next heat already there. Zverbelis, Meneses, Dumbella, Jara, Kratosville, Kimura, Roccamatera and Serbin. Top of the world rankings this year, 25.66 for David Kratosville. Again, another one who's coming through. Wonder what he can do. 25.66, the world record. Long-standing world record held by Yang Bozun from back in 2012.
Well, it was Paralympic champion Kichi Kimura who got off to an excellent start from the block, but now that they're up and into the strokes, it is Dumbella Jara of Spain, and Kratochvil, who are in the centre, leading the way.
Yeah, and here he comes now into the closing stages. Just keep an eye on the clock here. It's going to be a fast time, a very fast time indeed, 25.45, and that is inside the European record list. It's a championship record for David Kratochvil, and that is edging closer to that long-standing world record. But Kratochvil is going to be into the wall. That's a fantastic swim there. Dambella Jara, good swim from the Spanish swimmer as well, 26.16. Kimura in third, and it's Roca Matera, the only other swimmer under the 27-second mark.
Yeah, well, again, the lead changed hands a number of times in 50 metres because Kimura was the best off the block, and then Dambella Jara looked very strong through the first 25 metres. But Kratochvil, an example of a youngster, as we said, he's still only 17 years old, that's getting more confident with every swim, and he's really, really established himself as a front runner in this S11 category, Leon.
And he's improving his times almost every time he hits the water as well. I mean, that European record was only set in July this year, so a couple of months later he's come back again and improved it, 25.45. Let's hope that result is confirmed. Dambella Jara in second, Kimura in third, and Roca Matera in fourth, just ahead of Meneses. And yeah, 27 seconds to make that final list. That's swift, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, those times are tight, and that's the great thing about the S11 category. I think you really see some raw swimming because the athletes they can't see their competitors. They establish their own strokes, and then they just race, and it's brilliant. Like, it's fun. Those are the results.
They are indeed, yeah. 26.98 last into the final. Championship record and European record for David Kratochvil in first place. And all the blacked out goggles look good. So, 50 freestyle in S11 for the women now, coming through. On to the pool deck next. What time have we got, Liz? We're still 5 minutes down.
That's pretty good, day one. I'd take it.
It's not bad at all. World record holder in this one, right in the middle. This Lisette Bronsma coming out, smiling as always. Dutch swimmer in lane number 6. You spot that smile of Brownsma there in that orange Netherlands kit. Pelotero, Kachuk, Zhang, Pellandritu, Ma, Ishura, Bronsma, Lukyanenko, Shevchenko and Bias. 10 swimmers in this one. 2 swimmers will miss out on that final. 2 Argentinians in the outside lanes, Pelotero and Bias. We've been told to relax in the venue here, so did we just put the kiss of death on that one, saying we were doing pretty well on time?
I just said I was happy with it. You were the one that said we were on time, so I'm going to go with you. Okay, we. No, I think I mean, it's, if we're going to get slow on time, like the S11 chat is good, and I think it's important to know quite often the S11 events are the ones that doesn't happen often, but every now and again you get a rerun, don't you?
Oh yeah, well,
and this is one of those
before,
events.
Yeah.
This is one of the events where that has happened, because again, we said about the potential for athletes to clatter their arms or accidentally interfere with the person in the lane next to them, because if you've ever swum in lane swimming, what are we getting out of the pool here? Someone's starting device.
Oh, what
was that? I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll find out. We'll let you know.
Like some sort of animal or something out there.
I'm hoping it wasn't that. Right, we're up.
Oh yeah, sorry. Right, okay. Thanks, Sean. Keep us focused. There's Brownsma. She's focused by the looks of things, as she always is. Great record in this one, Lisette Brownsma. She's never won a world title in 50 freestyle. She's 3 times been a silver medalist. Can this be the day for Lisette Brownsma? Great Paralympic Games she had in Paris. Margia, world record holder. world champion, Paralympic champion. She goes in lane number 4 for China.
They're off the wall, pretty balanced off the block there. Good reaction for Belinda 2 of Cyprus. She's an out-and-out sprinter, going well. But in those centre lanes, it is Marjura and Ishura of Japan going well. There's Belinda 2 who got the best start. You can see just coming off the lane rope now. There is Brunsma, who's having quite a good swim here.
She is going to be in first, I think. It's Lisette Brunsma, 30.42. Well done, Lisette Brunsma. And that kind of changed about a bit, didn't it? Pellandritu looking good in the early stages. Didn't notice any kind of anyone having a real major problem with the ropes, which we quite often do. So good performances there from the swimmers. Pellandritu in second. Ishura, Lukyanenko, Zhang and Ma down in 6th place, Liz.
And again, one heat, so it's not anything of that nervous wait of the next heat. Obviously, we do have to wait for those results to be confirmed. It was a heat, so you can't, you know. But again, these S11 athletes don't get to see what position they're in. We saw then 2 athletes sharing the lane rope. They've both chosen the same side, but strong swim from Brunsma. Maybe that is, again, you said something and then the opposite happened, commentator's curse, but that was good for Brunsma. So she might want you to say that again tonight.
Yeah. Very good for Lisette Brunsma. She was smiling coming out, looking relaxed. She'll be smiling even more after she gets the result of that one. 30.42. Not quite the times that the swimmers are hoping for. There's a few entry times under the 30-second mark, but yeah, 30.42, good enough for Lisette. That's the supporters that we saw earlier.
It is.
Tommy Michalka, Portal's in front of him. Portal's, of course, Killian Portal. We saw Alex Portal a little bit earlier on. Their parents and grandparents travel all over the world to support them. We do see some supporters that just appear at every competition, don't we, Liz?
Yeah.
Real great family support.
I think it's always nice when you've got some international supporters travelling. When you go in, as an athlete, you go in and you walk into the arena and you find your spot where your supporters are going to be, and then so you kind of know where to look for that last minute nod.
There we go, Lisette Brunsma is there, 30.42 for her. She leads the way. Pellandritu Ashuri. 2 Chinese will be safely through. Margia will be there in lane number 6. She'll be a threat from there. And it is the 2 Argentinians who will miss out on that final. There's the SB3 1 heat for this 50 metres breaststroke. Again, we've only got to lose 1 swimmer. There's kind of some familiar names in this one, Liz. Real experienced campaigners, isn't there?
Yeah, this does
SB3.
tend to be one of the events where a lot of the athletes have got, like you said, a lot of experience, but also a lot of success under their belts.
Yeah, Taka Suzuki, the Paralympic champion from Paris. Took that one ahead of Efrem Morelli and Miguel Luque. And those swimmers will all be there in those centre lanes. Taka Suzuki was 8th World Championships. There he is, the Japanese swimmer. And he just seems to get better and better with the years, doesn't he?
Yeah, and again, Luque, another man who's a regular on the start list for Spain.
First won this title in 2002.
Mar
Miguel
del
Luque.
Plata.
7th. In fact, he's 10th World Championships. He's 6 times a Paralympian, Miguel Luque. And he's 10th World Championships in this one. Him and Taka Suzuki have kind of fought out the titles in this one. But the reigning champion is Jo Gi-sung of Korea. We've got the Koreans alongside us here, so they'll be interested in this one. Jo Gi-sung goes in lane number 2. Some of the swimmers, of course, it's the SB3 classification. So again, we'll see different starting positions for the swimmers. Some of the swimmers getting in the water from the side, just making their way to their lanes. Postalaki at the top, Vicente Gale, Jogi Song, Ephraim Morelli, Taka Suzuki, Miguel Luque, Ami Omer Dadon, Andreas Ehrenhofer, and Dimitri Grandjou, closest to us. French swimmer in lane number 8.
And, it was Suzuki that got away best off the start. Dadon using that body length that he has. He's a tall swimmer to minimise Suzuki's advantage. Japanese athlete closest to us there, going well. Shorter limbs as they go through the 25-metre mark though, so he'll be trying to fight off the chase from the other athletes. Jogi Song in 2 for Korea, going supremely well in these closing stages. It was a bit of a surprise for him to take that World Championship title back in Manchester, but it's him and Dadon that look to be going well into the closing stages of this one.
Yeah, the big names all there at the front, aren't they? And it's going to be Dadon, I think, into the wall first, and under the 50-second mark, 49.23. Jogi Song, the reigning world champion, is into the wall in second position. Miguel Luque in third. Suzuki will be fourth, and Ephraim Morelli will be fifth place. So 3 medalists from the Paris Paralympics in third, fourth, and fifth, Liz.
Yeah, you can see from this shot there, Luque at that point still not really in it, and that's what he said about this one, is experience all over the field, and different impairments mean that the strengths play out at different parts of the race. Good thing is, when you're the chaser, it's a lot easier not to feel as under pressure, because you can see the swimmers coming back into your reach with every stroke that you take. But the Dome will be happy with that one as we get these results confirmed.
And he will be 49.23 for Dadon, faster than his entry time. That'll put them to the top of the world rankings this year. No one has gone faster this year than the Israeli in that previous event. Big names all through to that final. Again, it should be a crack. That SB3 is always a close race.
Yes, as we see the heats for the next event, the women's 50 breaststroke SB3. But you're right, and you talked about how some events have got some of the real big hitters here, and that is an example where basically everyone's turned up here at these World Championships.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be another cracking final in prospect with the big names all there. Let's see what the women can do. Again, we've got a couple of newcomers here who are featuring in the world rankings in this one, in this women's SB3. So we'll see how they go in their first major championship. Patricia Valle is in the water for Mexico. She goes in lane number 2. And again, like her compatriot Castorena, it's 11 world championships now for Patricia Valle. Starting way back in 1998. I swam in that one, that's how long ago it was.
I'm not saying anything.
Valle, Fiera de Cruz, Laranova, Polishchuk, Shirova, and Gabda Dalina. That's the lineup for this first of the 2 heats of the women's 50 metres breaststroke. Again, it's kind of 2 newcomers, we said, Liz. Laranova and Polishchuk, they've got the fastest entry times, 55 and 57 respectively. There's Patricia Valle getting into the water. Be nice to see her make it through to another World Championship final, but she's going to have her work cut out. Got a good record over the years. Again, we've seen some medalists already this morning. But Patricia Valle, in her previous 10 World Championships, she's won 16 gold medals. Not many more. Not many have won more.
No, it's a very impressive record. She goes up there in lane 2 in that red hat of Mexico.
All the swimmers this time in the water being held by their coaches in position. As we do say, the swimmers can be held in position if they have that exemption from the referees and technical officials to do that. I've seen some swimmers held in position on the blocks, and Of course, we always say that you can't add propulsion. You can't push your swimmer off the blocks.
No, you absolutely can't. We see in our shot Vieira da Cruz of Brazil. She got off to the best start. But now we can see it is the swimmer with the fastest entry time, Larionova, a neutral power athlete in 4, coming to hit the front as they go through the 25 metres. Fastest seeded swimmer does take up lane 4, then followed by lane 5 and lane 3, which is exactly how this is panning out this morning down this heat number 1. Polishuk going well in 5 as well, with Vieira da Cruz holding on to that 3rd position at the moment.
And the 2 newcomers, 2 young swimmers, a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old, coming in to the wall first. 56.78 for Larionova and 58.30. So things going pretty much according to the seeding here. Vieira da Cruz in 103.70 off to that good start, and that took her through into 3rd place. Shirova 105.96 and Patricia Valley in 110.40 in 5th place. So she'll have a bit of a nervous wait to see if she's good enough to make that top 8 times. There's a start. It was an even start, wasn't it? But the Brazilian got away very well once they got up into their strokes. But Larionova and Polishuk. There's Polishuk almost looking. It's almost like she's looking into the camera lens there. She goes through. Almost posing for the camera as she goes through into the closing stages of that one. Pretty similar strokes, although Larionova had their head a little bit higher than Polishuk. And she will take that one, 56.78, 58.30. Vieira da Cruz in 3rd place off following that good start. Line-up for heat number 2, Monique Schacker, Marta Fernandez Infante, Monica Boggioni, Patricia Pereira dos Santos, Marina Verbova and Anastasia Goncharova. That's the line-up for this next heat. Monica Boggioni certainly be the favourite for this one. Already seen Monica Boggioni this morning. Some of the swimmers doubling up in events this morning, Les.
It tends to be when that breaststroke is in the programme.
Take your marks.
Boggioni had a strong swim earlier this morning. She's back for a 2nd event. We'll see some other athletes still to swim their 2nd event as well, but right now getting off the wall very well is Paralympic silver medalist Patricia Pereira dos Santos of Brazil in that blue hat in lane number 5. Also going well is Marina Verbova of the Ukraine in the pink hat closest to us. It's those 2 along with Boggioni in a line at the front. Fernandez Infante looking to get back on level terms with them, as Boggioni now starts to put a tiny bit of space between her and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, we did say quality field here at these World Championships. These are the top 4 swimmers from the Paralympic Games in Paris. And is it going to be a similar result? It might be. Boggioni was first on that occasion, followed by Pereira dos Santos, followed by Fernandez Infante, and followed by Verbova. So 1 year on, same result.
It is. It just goes to show the strength of the 2 newcomers in heat number 1, that they've sort of split these very successful athletes in the seeding. Boggioni though 55.72 for the Italian to take that one. See those starts, and this one again very similar starting techniques from all athletes in this one, and it was really in the closing stages of the swim stroke, Boggioni with that slightly higher stroke rate that brings her through. You see there, she's still not in the lead. That is the underwater shot. Vieira dos Santos, who was our early leader, by the time the clock stopped, it was that lady Monica Boggioni that was top of the pile.
Again, another good morning for Monica Boggioni. Let's see if these results are confirmed. They are indeed. Boggioni will lead the way. Larionova in 2nd. Look how close it is there. Dos Santos Fernandez Infante, Polishuk, Verbova. Well, Boggioni will start as favourite, but, well, pick the medalist from that one list. That's going to be a good one again.
We've already seen some exciting finals set up for night one.
Let's see what we've got for this next heat. 100 backstroke S12. Again, we said in that previous heat, Liz, we saw a lot of the medalists and the champions from last year. We won't have the champion from last year in this one. That was Great Britain's Stephen Clegg, the world record holder, who's been injured this year, so won't see him at these championships, but we will see the Salai brothers going in each of the heats. Dimitri Salai going in this one. He'll be in the centre lane, neutral para athlete. Karimi Jahan Abadi for Iran goes in lane number 2. Bereshnoy and Salai, neutral para athletes in 3 and 4. Douglas Matera in 5, and Kuzman, neutral para athlete in 6. Matera, of course, from Brazil. Oh, there's a dance cam on now.
Why is that the one you've got excited about?
I don't know.
It's true, there is. Currently there is a dance cam in the arena. Of course, also Yaroslav Dernesenko not present in this one either, so only one of the Paralympic medalists from Paris in this event that we were about to see was present, so it's a real opportunity for some people to break back onto the podium or even onto the podium for the first time. So we'll see what happens.
Here they come out now for this heat. Karimi Jahan Abadi in lane number 2, Bereshnoy, Salai, Matera and Kuzman. Dimitri Salai, the older of the two Salai brothers, 35 years of age now. First World Championship back in South Africa in 2006 for Dimitri Salai. Douglas Matera had a great World Championships, didn't he, in Manchester last time out, Brazilian.
He did, he took a bronze in this one, and then that's surprise gold from an outside lane in the butterfly. Paris probably didn't go the way he wanted to exactly, but again, working his way back into some form.
Oh, Matera in lane number 5 from those 2 yellow marked lanes. 4 and 5 with lane 4 at the top of the yellow marked lanes, lane 5 the bottom. So 5 swimmers in this one, we've got 6 in the next. Pretty close in terms of entry times. But the swimmers in the 3, Bereshnoy, Salai and Matera. 3 in the centre of the pool. You would expect them to be claiming a place in that top 8, and it is those 3 off to that early lead.
Yeah, we saw there that white hat of Matera in Brazil, just out of shot, coming into shot now. He had the best use of the underwater phase of the race, but one lane up from him, Dimitri Salai is just leading the way. Hardly anything in it though, and Bereshnoy is right there with him as they go over. 30.57 for Salai ahead of 30.68 for Bereshnoy, with Matera 31.24. And off the wall, Salai has opened up a bit of an advantage. He had a good turn there. He's wearing a yellow hat in that centre yellow lane, and now he's got about half a body length lead over Bereshnoy, who is just ahead then of Matera as they come down into the final stages of the race.
Yeah, leading 3 are going to be safely home. 104.00 for Dimitri Salai, 105.20 for Bereshnoy, and Matera 105.29. So it was close at the front there. Igor Kuzman in 109.17 is in 4th position. So that will be good enough, I think, for those top 3 to make the final. There is 6 in the second heat, so not guaranteed for the 3rd place swimmer. But I would reckon that would be good enough, Liz. Matera should be safely through.
Yeah, look like comfortable heat swims there. Plenty left in the tank.
And some of these swimmers in the S12 class using the tappers, of course, at the end of the lane, some not.
Again, that comes down to an exemption that they have been granted. A lot of the athletes won't see the flags, which are there to signal 5 meters to the wall.
There's a confirmed result. 2 neutral para athletes ahead, Dimitri Salai and Arseny Brezhnoy, with Douglas Matera in 3rd place. Got a couple of tappers in this one as well. Roman Michka, Evan Wilkinson, Raman Salai will go in lane number 4, be the favourite for this one. Paralympic champion Raman Salai from Tokyo. Vashkevich in 5, Alex Villario Martin and Sergei Sirotchavin. Look at the size of that. American tapping stick, I think it is, for Evan Wilkinson.
Oh, wow, it is very long. Like again, you can have.
You can just see it there at the side of the poles there, can't you? Look at the size, wow. It just shows you, doesn't it? Because you would have thought the tapping stick. How many meters is that going to be? Is it going to be 5 meters out?
Possible. We'll see when it happens.
Yeah. Keep a close eye on that one.
They're going well off the block in lane 5. Vashkevich got the best start, but it is Raman Salai, the Paralympic Games silver medalist, who will be coming to this one as the favourite in the absence of Stephen Clegg. And as we said, Yaroslav Denisenko, who's the championship record holder from Ukraine, not present either. So Salai will go over first. He touches 29.16 ahead of Vashkevich, 30.54 with Villaleo Martin, 31.15. And it is Salai now coming through the 75 meter mark with a body length lead over Vashkevich.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He went at that first 50 pretty fast, 29.16. He's coming into the final 5 now. And he is going to touch there. There's the tapping stick there of Wilkinson. That's about 4 meters out, isn't it?
That's what I was
going
with.
5. But Vashkevich in 103.25. A second behind him is Wilkinson in 104.25. Villario Martin in 4th, 105.83. And Raman Salai will be safely into that final, and he have a big advantage over his brother going into that final. In fact, Vashkevich will be 2nd place into the final, 103.25.
Yeah, once again, another exciting race in prospect. You see the great underwater shot. There is Salai swimming down the middle of the pool. It's all smiles for him.
We're not going to see that tapping stick, that's unfortunate. Watch out for that again in the final, because Wilkinson will be there. He will be in 4th position for the USA. The 2 Salai brothers were representing different countries. They kind of moved around the countries over the years, haven't they? But the Azerbaijan swimmer. Raman Salai will be at the top there. Vashkevich in 2nd position, so again another good final in prospect. We're going towards the end of the programme this morning. 100 breaststroke for the SB4s before we move on to the 50 metre sprint events to finish us off. Again, a couple of interesting heats there in this SB4. Yes.
I saw that.
You did see
device
that
the other day. It's super effective.
Who's that coming out?
It
Saudi Arabian swimmer Al Rashid, who goes in lane number 1. Yeah, you were interested in that one, weren't you?
It's like an updated version of the longer scuttle scooter things. Very effective.
Now that's Al Rashid going in 1, Hurtaposa in 2. Artem Olnik back in the water again. Antonio Zapatakis, the reigning world champion from Greece. He goes in at lane number 4. Manuel Bortuso, Paralympic Games. Bronze medalist, the Italian, goes in 5. Alexander Molkov in 6. Neutral para athlete, Kazakhstan's Turganbekov, goes in lane number 7. Again, 2 medalists from the Paralympic Games in this one. Silver medalist Zapatakis, the reigning world champion, in 4. Bortuso in lane number 5. Took the bronze medal in Paris last year. Again, Bortuso, relative newcomer to the Italian team. Again, someone who acquired his impairment. Very similar to Zapatakis, they have a very similar start there. Well, the Italian probably into the water first, but Zapatakis up into his stroke, but Olnik with a very fast start.
Yeah, Olnik got away well there. Again, using the body length that he has off the wall. No propulsion from his legs, but he's got a very high stroke rate here, as we can see. Managing to grab hold of the water. Key in this one is managing to maintain that stroke rate. So Zapatakis 1 lane closer to us, a lot flatter, as you can see. It's a technique he's developed over the years, so he can maintain that pace, but he's always been known for that front end power. But then early on in his career, he would tend to get caught towards the end of the race, because he really worked on sort of being efficient in not losing any of that energy. And it is Zapatakis 45.04 ahead of Olnik 47 flat, and then Molkov 47.90. They were the top 3 at the 50-meter mark, and it is Zapatakis. You can see there how he's using all that propulsion from the top half of his upper body, really, and that fast arm rate, the leg drag behind him, which is why he tries to stay as flat as possible to minimize that resistance. He's now got almost 2 body lengths ahead of lead over Olnik. Going well in lane 6 still is Alexander Molkov, the neutral para athlete. As we start to get that wider picture, but it will be the swimmer from Greece who comes into the wall to get the touch.
And he touches now in that 1:37 for Zapatakis, and that is a very fast time. Again, tops the world rankings this year. 1:37.20 for Zapatakis. Olnik to that good start, 1:44.10. Looks to be a good find for the Ukrainian team, just 18 years of age. Artem Olnik and Alexander Molkov in 3rd position, with Bortuso in 4th place in 1:49.66. So it was Zapatakis. A very good time, actually. Didn't have to go that fast in the heats, but he's done a great job there.
He has, and he looks almost relieved, I think, that everything went okay. I think, again, once they're back in after the Paralympic Games, tend to take a bit more time out, which is why often the world rankings don't necessarily reflect what we're going to see at these championships, because some people don't race maybe as often as they typically would. See that great underwater shot there around the wall, just how these athletes are impacted across the entirety of the event.
And of course, you've got these newcomers coming in as well. Olnik, off to that blistering start. You're just not sure what you're going to get from these newcomers sometimes, are you?
No, never, really.
Zapatakis takes that one. There was a disqualification. I think that was Al-Rashid was disqualified, unfortunately. So 1 more heat to come. 4 swimmers from that first heat under the 150 mark. What have we got for this heat? Vicente Lopez, Podgorski, Zulkafli, Chernayev, Fuentes, Garcia, Rivero, and Khalili. No Khalili in that outside lane. Oh, there's Khalili here, so we know we're in lane number 6. Rivero. Zulkafli, lane 3 from Malaysia. one of the local swimmers. I wonder if the Malaysians got support here. Just over the causeway from Singapore. Chernayev, though, will be the one to beat.
Yeah, already straight up and into his stroke. He's the Paralympic champion in that silver hat, the neutral power athlete. That strong stroke again, very high stroke rate. When you haven't got any use of your legs, and in this SB4 classification group, if you have got a spinal injury, the impairment tends to be quite high up your torso as well. So it's about maintaining your forward momentum, which is why we see that shorter, sort of, like you said, Paul, sculling motion to continue so that there's no pause, which is always the challenge with breaststroke. And you can see there he's doing very well through the first 50 meters, 43.55 ahead of Fuentes Garcia's 46.75, and then Zulkafi's 47.95. But there is the race leader, Dmitry Chernayev. He is going through the red markers that signal 25 meters to go. Only now is Fuentes Garcia moving through. So he's got a significant lead. There's no one going to catch him in this second heat.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how he rates in terms of the time. Bob Sapatakis 1:37.20 from that first heat. It's going to be well inside that, 1:34.56 for Chernayev. It is going to be Fuentes Garcia under the 1:40 mark. And 1:39.47. There's a few swimmers here dipping under the 1:50 mark. Podgorski and Zulkifli, they should make that one. Khalil in touching in 1:52.40, and that looks like that might be an African record for Zayed Khalil, improving the mark from Hashad, his teammate. So Zayed Khalil might be an African record for him. Not sure if it's going to be good enough to make it into the final. Chernayev will certainly be there, 1:34.56. So the man who's the reigning Paralympic champion should be in that final list.
Yes, he should. There was a great swim. Signalled his intent right from the start. But again, like we say, if the athletes only have minimal use of certain limbs, then they actually don't have the luxury of slowing the stroke down, particularly for a heat swim. So Chernayev, it's all about how much water you're able to get a hold of, and he's very strong at the front of that breaststroke pull, as you can see, and he really makes the most of it. And looking good there. Fuentes Garcia looked very happy with his swim too. That's his fastest time of the year, and there are your qualifiers.
Yeah, Chernayev, Sapatakis, Fuentes Garcia and Zulkifli. They should be into that final three swimmers under the 1:40 mark. Bortuso, the Paralympic bronze medalist, will be there. He'll be in the outside lane, but he's got a chance.
Yes, Paul, if you've got a lane,
You have got a chance.
probably in it to win it. That's basically what we're saying, aren't we?
Yeah, and he will be in it. And we're on to the S10 classifications now. This will be fast and furious. One length of the pool for these S10 swimmers, swimmers with minimal impairments. So the Tommy Gallagher fan club, they'll have to wait until heat number 2 for him to take the start. Jack Gill and Fernando Liu from Canada, they go in 2 and 3. Rowan Crothers, great record in this event. He goes in at lane number 4. Ion Nimchenko will go in 5 for Ukraine. Hasbi from Egypt goes in 6. We saw him swim well in the breaststroke. Salim Garif, neutral para athlete, goes in lane number 7. Rowan Crothers, twice the world champion in this one in 22-23. Also the Paralympic champion back in Tokyo in 2021. Well, it's all about getting to the wall first here. Try and claim that place into the final. It's going to be close. It's going to be a very tight contest. Crothers in lane number 4 will start as the favourite.
He will for this heat, and his reaction time was good, but also going well is Nimchenko that white hat in lane 5, but now we see the strength of Crothers starting to come through in the second half of the race. He's got about half a body length lead over Nimchenko. The Australians becoming very strong in this one.
Yeah, really good swim there from Crothers, and he is in there. Oh, very good time indeed. 23.49 for Rowan Crothers. Wow, that is very, very good time for a heat swim. Nimchenko also under the 24-second mark. 5/100 separating Hasby and Fernando Liu for 3rd and 4th position, with Jack Gill in 5th. But Rowan Crothers, well, really impressive swim there in that first heat.
Yeah, it's quite deceiving, isn't it? He looked very comfortable there. 23.49, exceptional time for the heats. Fastest time in the world. He was top of the world rankings. Fastest time in the world this year again, because he's improved, and he looks confident, I would say, after that.
It's 0.3 of a second faster than he went in the Paralympic final last year. Nimchenko there in 2nd. Hasby giving himself a great chance of making another final. Hasby. And Fernando Liu has got a good chance as well to get into that final. There is the next heat. Cohen Boyd will go into Alexander Tuckfield in 3. Tommy Gallagher in lane number 4. Stefano Raimondi in 5. Dmitry Grigorov in 6. Sina Jigminajad going in lane number 7 for Iran. 2 Australians in 3 and 4. Stefano Raimondi in lane number 5. Those might be the lanes to watch in the centre here of the second heat of the 50 freestyle S10.
Well, Tommy Gallagher, that yellow hat closest to us of the 2 Australians, is the man to beat. He will be the pre-race favourite. He's going well. Raimondi going strongly, the Italian, through the first 25 metres, but through that splash we can see it is Gallagher, that high stroke rate, who leads the way.
Here he comes now in the last couple of metres there. Look at this one, 23.43. Well, his teammate went 23.49. Well, anything you can do, I can do a little bit better. Tommy Gallagher will be in there, and 24.49 for Stefano Raimondi. He should be into that final as well. Tuckfield will also be there in 24.56. Cohen Boyd 24.90 in 4th position. Might be good enough as well for Cohen Boyd. Might just sneak in there. But another good swim from Tommy Gallagher.
Yeah, it's great swim, and it's 400s quicker than he won the Paralympic title last year. The Australians very much becoming the powerhouse in this S10 men's 50 metres freestyle. It's the first time the Brazilians haven't had a swimmer since 2006.
Well, it's the Australians that have taken the mantle. Tommy Gallagher and Rowan Crothers will lead the way. Nimchenko will be there. Raimondi will be there. Always a danger. Stefano Raimondi won this title in 2019, but standard has suddenly been ramped up by the 2 Aussies.
Yeah, well, we talk about how that domestic competition really prepares you for the world stage, and that is definitely happening for these Australian sprinters in this men's S10 classification.
Well, women coming out for the final event of this morning, and that is the 50 freestyle S10 one and only heat. And we have 9 swimmers in this one. So just losing 1 swimmer, so might not see the fireworks that we saw in the men's event. But we shall see. There's Emmeline Pierre of France. She goes in lane number 3. Fantastic swim last year to win the 100 freestyle in our home games in Paris. That was, well, an emotional night for the French. Another one, a surprise victory, wasn't it? Emmeline Pierre taking that 100. What can she do in this 50? She's a world championship medalist last time out, bronze medalist. Full lineup: Galadze from Georgia up there in lane number 0. Cosgrave and Hunsaker, for 2 Canadians in 1 and 2. Emmeline Pierre for France in 3. Skortakini from Italy goes in 4. Barara Zapata, Colombia in 5. Sidorenko, neutral athlete in 6. Kurt from Turkey in 7. And Susanna Kohl from Estonia, closest to us, in lane number 8.
Well, they're pretty even off the start. There's a real opportunity here for athletes to give themselves a chance for the final to get on that podium. Going well in lane number 7 is Kurt, and Sidorenko going well in 6 as well. Down the bottom of the pool, though, is where the touch is going to come from.
It is very good swim as well. Stephanie Kurt at 27.34. Well, that is an incredibly quick time from the Turkish athlete. Wow. And the Turks celebrating there in the stands. But 27.34 is a championship record, the fastest time we've seen in this class in the World Championship. Second was Pierre Skottakini in third, but the Turkish swimmer, wow, that was incredible.
Yeah, she got that right, didn't she? 1.5 seconds quicker than her entry time and her time off the world rankings this year. Out of the danger down there in lane 7. She could swim her own race, and I think that will be a surprise to some of the athletes in the centre lanes.
Well, championship record, I think that's inside the European record as well, Liz. So look at that, 27.34. Stephanie Kurt will take that one. She'll lead the field into that final. Galadze will be the one to miss out from Georgia. But we finished the morning with a championship record and a European record for Stephanie Kurt of Turkey. Wow, great stuff. What a morning we've had.
It has been a varied morning, exciting morning, some good strong swims, and definitely some finals set up for tonight.
Yeah, world record, of course, on Tanya Schultz being the highlight of this morning's heats. And that is the final action we have. Liz and I will be back. Well, how many hours? What, 17:30? So around about 5.5 hours time. Please join us for the final session, 17:30 Singapore time. And we looking forward to it. Hope you are. Join Liz and I later on. First final session of this Toyota World Para Swimming Championship Singapore 2025. See you then.